Hello, hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? How we doing? How we doing? What's up, chat, chat, chat? Everybody there? How we doing? How we doing? What's up? All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Let me get myself situated. What's up, Board Tusk? Hellboy, good to see you. Hopefully you guys can kind of see what's on my screen here. I'm trying something a little bit different with regards to how I'm breaking these ranges down. No more bubbles. Everybody bitched about the bubbles. Can't have bubble bitching in the chat, in the DMs on Instagram. I can't see. Why does it look like that? Well, we're going to try something a little bit different. So hopefully you guys can kind of see this. This is from the pre-market plan. So we've got kind of what I identified as a potential chop range coming in. This was the upper range we could work into. And then this was kind of where the things we're looking at, like kind of where they would slow down if we got the extension. We obviously never even got up there. And then this was where things got really rampy, but also where it would want to come back to. So we can kind of go over that. But this is the current intraday positioning post-London close on the screen. So if you guys are interested in kind of how things are shaping up, look no further. Obviously, this chop range is still kind of the chop range in the sense that we can move freely through it. Our current straddle is sitting at about 20 points, so that literally would put us right at the top of that range from the morning, 52 on ES. And then, obviously, if we were 20 points shorter, then kind of down here closer to 7500 SPX, 7512 ES. Is the currently priced in range. So where you think we go from here, everything that you guys know if you've tuned in with me at all for any amount of time, if we get a strong bid, we can obviously ramp right up here before we kind of get this test spot around 75.45 on ES. And if we covered that, then obviously you can open the door higher. But I think we got our work cut out for us here. I think it's quite possible we go test 45-ish and either reject that and come back down to this balance, or maybe get that continuation higher. Anyway, Matterman, good to see you. Miggy, Victoria, Boraquant, what's up? Yes, I did. I actually enjoyed the hell out of my long weekend. That was much needed. It's really easy to get kind of obsessive about the charts and the market and everything you're doing, especially now that we're doing this Project 365 stuff and focused on streaming and being available and looking forward to every stream. So being able to disconnect and spend time with my family and be outside, was really nice. So hopefully you guys had a good weekend as well. I got a little lake time in, got some crazy, insane thunderstorm action, which is always fun. Kind of geeked out recording slow motion and time-lapse stuff of big supercell storm. So, just doing 30-year-old man stuff. If anybody's familiar with that. Anyway, so try to get back into the groove here, guys. I'm super tired, but we are here. We will see kind of how things shape up this afternoon. I was actually thinking after we got that test from this morning, we can go over the pre-market action if you guys want to do that. We'll do a little recap. And maybe this makes more sense about the ranges that I drew, right? Why is this the supportive range? Kind of with this idea that we'll get rid of our arrows here. Just bear with me. But the idea here would be, that we kind of had coming in anyway, this idea like this is a chop range. We can kind of whip around between here, and then if we want to extend higher, this was kind of our big test strike on the day that would maybe compel us up into this kind of magnetic zone, which would also slow us down, would kind of be the ceiling on the day. but we couldn't even get into the upper range. You know, we ended up rejecting there, and I think that's kind of interesting, and why I also said the lack of balance on the day coming in, as far as once we were up here, you were always likely to fall back to the strongest balance. So the easy play from the morning was, well, long the support area, see if you can get the extension up in here, right? And if not, and you reject kind of this upper range, where do you come back to? Down here to the strongest support on the day, which is exactly where we came back to, right? So now, even though this is supportive below us, the idea is if you don't cover certain positions, where do you end up? So if this is the pre-market positioning, right, and you're not over this, you're either going to finish here or you're going to finish down in here. And as long as you're over these strikes, they should kind of support you kind of up into this area. Now, if we change that to say, well, what's the current positioning after London close, right? We've got a bunch of volume out of the market. You got a bunch of participants no longer there. How does that change? Well, the range is still pretty much it, right? Except now we're saying if you're not over this strike here at this 45, where are you likely to end up? Where we know that support is. And look where we bounced. Right at the start of this supportive range. So if you don't just get ground and chopped down into here, this is where you can kind of take those safe base hit 10 to 15 point kind of scalp moves, right? So in this case, you're already sitting 10 points from a bounce of that strong support area. Just like this morning, it's kind of the same thesis, right? If you're holding that support area, you're looking for the next kind of top of that range. So here, if I was long, I would be kind of looking to see, can we get up towards this 45, 50-ish on ES? Or do we fail and we're setting a lower high and we're just going to kind of come back down here and maybe end up just grinding and chopping against this kind of support into the afternoon, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for. But this is the idea when I tell you guys this idea of time, charm, the passive decay. If you're not over something that's going to sell futures against you into the afternoon, like what does that look like? And I think you can see, you know, largely where that's coming from, right? Like why is it we are not really moving any higher on the day from here? It's because everything is kind of compelling you down. So until you get up into it, it's just going to start selling against you. So if there's not a big strong bid in the market to kind of do some work here, you can pretty much say the ceiling on the day has been set, right? So if we look at kind of how this shaped up with regards to the overnight positioning, okay, so we've got that on here, right? So we got our overnight open. Sorry, I'm probably all over the place. We had our overnight open up here about 75.60, right? And if you look at the pre-market positioning and how much that was respected overnight, I think that will tell you an interesting story, right? Where did we stick? We rejected in this upper range up here. We literally rejected this kind of test strike in the overnight and went straight down into this chop range. And we just chopped and chopped. And then we came up and we tested the top of the range and we chopped back down and tested that support at the open. And it's still the same story, right? But the overnight price action largely respected the profile for 0 date coming into the day, right? Like if I kind of scrunch this up a little bit, where did we stick inside of? Chop range, right? Couldn't break back up. Couldn't even test the Globex opening print. But it's telling that that biggest test to the upside rejected us. Not really much of a balance there. So that's the chop range. You're just moving around in it. But we also know this is a pretty strong support. So if we're going to go down, it's probably going to be a really slow, grindy move down into the afternoon. Hey man, no. I mean, you could definitely get a strong bid, right? Knowing what we just covered about the intraday positioning. But I think today has kind of shown you that we're just stuck in this chop range. So I think right now, unless you get a really strong bid, right, we are probably just going to get stuck in this range with the proclivity to probably just settle down here lower. I think at this point I'd be amazed if we didn't actually finish down around, you know, like maybe right in here, like against this strongest area. So we'll have to see how it shakes out in the end. But I have very, very low expectations, obviously. All right. But it's the day after a holiday, so expectations are low regardless. Best opportunities have probably come and gone as far as the most attractive things on the day. So depending on what you're holding and where you're sitting, might be a bit of a hands-off afternoon. All right, guys, you might have to give me 1 second here. I got somebody at my front door, so give me 1 minute and I will be right back, okay? Let's just see. And we will be doing a giveaway this afternoon. So even though I'm only here for an hour, we're going to sweeten the pot. So stay tuned. Just 1 minute, guys. All right. I don't think I could have been any faster than that. Kala, what's up? Alexa, got some familiar faces, some familiar names in here. Happy you guys are around. See if we get any more late joiners. I have a feeling this is a day where everyone's going to say garbage PA, right? Oh, we just chopped around. It's garbage PA. But I think real ones know. There's always opportunity. Joe Vegs, no, unfortunately, I don't think that one's coming today. I mean, there would be some potential in this range, right? If you caught a bid, you could kind of explode through a decent range, but I just don't think it's shaping up for that. I think even if you look, you know, knowing that this is kind of the current positioning, why do you think that would be considered chop, right? Like, you've got a really strong resistance up here. Excuse me. You've got this block of resistance up here kind of doing the same thing, right? Pointing you down. So you're kind of restricted into this area. So unless you get a really strong bid, it's probably a day we're just looking at even simple price action, right? If we take off the extended hours here and just say just today. All right, we got a high, we've got a lower low, we've got a higher low, or sorry, a lower high now. You're probably going to come down and settle in here somewhere, right? How does the weekend gap interact with these levels? I see it overlaps your supportive range. Curious if you notice any confluence with your options data levels. Weekend gap. The gap itself is a consequence of whatever the sentiment was that lifted it there, right? Like, I think if you go back and you look at the fact that you had that kind of the Sunday through the brief Monday kind of window, there was actually, if you're someone like me and you look at like Hyperliquid and you look at like the USDC representation of the S&P, like technically that hit well over 7,600 over the weekend, right? On this idea that like, oh, the deal is struck, everything's going to be great, you know, so you had this huge lift. And then coming around the actual Globex opening on Sunday, that had petered off slightly. right? And things had maybe settled down a little bit back into this range. I think if you were looking at this even, things were up here if you were going off of the hyperliquid equivalent, right? So there was every reason to think like, oh, people really thought we were going to bust. But as far as that gap goes now, I mean, this positioning was entered and was held largely since Friday. So these positions, like if you look at Friday, this would have been kind of like a grind to open into. If we would have opened at Friday's close, for example, you'd have had to grind through this, but then you would have been looking at this range overhead that I'm calling chop range today. That would have been like your area of opportunity. You would have been biting someone's hand off to get the move we got at the open today, had it not been a gap up, right? But as far as like the gap and the levels and do they directly correlate with one another? No, I don't think so. It was just more about like watching the overnight and the fact that we opened way up here. You had one test strike at this like 75, 65 on ES, right? We rejected that, and there wasn't really a strong balance to fall back to until you got down into this kind of 25 to 15 area on ES. So I don't know if that fully answers your question. I don't know that it's ever responsible for a gap, but generally those positions tell you where people are placing their bets from the option side, and futures kind of will correlate with that more often than not. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me know if not, Borquant. I'm happy to kind of go through that further and make sure I'm clear. All right. Anyway, guys, if you are just joining, I know we've had some late additions to the stream. My name is Mitch. If you're new here, I'm kind of the Gamma Geek, right? So I use what's known as options positioning held by market makers or the dealers, and kind of their expected flow and how they support those positions to influence the market, especially on the futures side with regards to ES. There's a really tight correlation between those two things. For every option, there's somebody on the other side of it, and from the market maker perspective, they are trading futures largely to kind of delta hedge, so to speak. So I use that information and the positions to kind of formulate a plan. What are the ranges? What are the areas of opportunity? How can I define my risk on the day? So coming in today, obviously the biggest support range at the morning was this kind of 75-25 area. Had you longed that to target the kind of top of that range to maybe break out higher, you got a pretty great entry. You know, you've got about 25-30 points. And then consequently, if you knew that that was the top of that range and we were failing up there, where are we going to come back to? Where's the balance on the day amongst all of this red where selling would probably take place and market makers would sell with the flow down to this balance here? And now that we're at it and we're not really able to break through this area, if we're out of the chop range, we're probably going to get stuck down into this supportive range and things would slow down. Really slow, grindy action. I'm anticipating if I was going to draw it for you guys, I think it will end up looking something like this. Bounce and just get maybe a little breakout again and then back down in here and then we just and then there you are, right? Into the end of the day. Matterman, long-term screenshot. Can you discuss that a little bit and how it points short? Sure. So if you guys aren't in the Discord, you probably have no idea what he's talking about. But essentially, there is this idea that long term, you can look at options positioning in SPX just like you can on anything in your broker, in your option chain. And what that's looking at is just kind of net in total, subtracting all the positive from the negative and vice versa. Market makers are largely holding short positions more than anything else for the July 17th expiry, meaning there are far more people hedging the downside on that expiry than any other position for the next 4 months. So what does that tell you? It essentially just tells you where the risk is in the market. So once the June contracts have kind of been played out, most people are worried about the downside into July, into the mid-July OPEX window. So it's just a way of saying there is danger ahead. And if things aren't, going well, there's the potential to really get moving lower into that mid-July period. So a lot of people seem to be thinking that, yeah, we're going higher, but I'm hedging July. Why are people hedging July? For a reason. They're geopolitical, midterm elections upcoming, like who knows why, but that is the date that right now signals there is just a lot of negative positioning, meaning people like customers, you and me, retail, firms, we are hedging our longs by saying, I'm really thinking July is where we could dip and dip meaningfully more than people are betting on upside speculation, right? That's the long and short of that matter, man. Nothing more than that. Nitesh Dev Koda, how does market open with a gap up or gap down? Sorry if it's a newbie question. How does it open with a gap up or a gap down? It's really just related to the futures trading overnight. So you've got these markets that are trading beyond the New York cash session. So you've got Globex, which includes like Australia, that opens at, for me, it's 5 p.m. Central. Then you've got Asia, which is at 7 p.m. Central for me. You've got London, and then you have the New York Open. So all of that trading on futures and kind of speculating where price is going to be drives where the New York session will open and will influence that. So hopefully that answers your question. You'll get a gap up or down based on the total amounts of trading taking place in those other sessions leading into the New York session. So relative to where we close the New York session the prior day is what will give you a gap up or gap down. Where did price trade in between those windows? Because there are other markets that can influence where we are, right? Does that answer your question, Nitesh? And if I keep looking over there, it's because I've got a monitor with the chat over here. So I would like to make eye contact with you and speak to you directly, but technically you're over here to me. But yeah, guys, hopefully you had a good weekend. Like I said, we've got a few more people joining. If you're new here, I've got some stuff on my screen if you've never seen it before. I will kind of show you this. This is essentially the green bars are telling you market makers are long. So price is expected to slow down in those areas. So we've had these 3 red 5-minute bars in a row. Why are we starting to move slow? Why aren't we just dumping down? And generally that's because market makers are long, which means they are buying futures. They are buying the dip. And then if we got up here, for example, this morning where we rejected, they are selling the rips. They are selling futures as we move into those positions from below. And if there are green positions below us, that means they are buying as we fall into them. So we slow down. Awesome, John. Love to hear that. Congrats. We're going to give away another one of those accounts today. So don't think you'll be able to win that one, but it seems like you're doing just fine with the one that you did win. So happy to hear that. Awesome, man. And then as far as the red bars, guys, those are essentially just saying that if we move into those areas, they're kind of volatility based or momentum specific areas to take advantage of. When you get like a trend day, what you like to see are areas like that with the little green. You cover the green, you move into the next area of red, you kind of get that break higher or lower depending on what direction you're looking for, and market makers are assisting the move. So if there's a strong sell, they sell quickly. If there is a strong bid, they can move quickly through it because every strike you cover, they are buying more and more futures the further you get away from one. So an example, if you guys are new here, this is the current intraday positioning, but the pre-market, what the day looked like coming in and why I have these ranges listed here is essentially saying this is like when there's very thin to no positioning, it's almost the same as negative positioning, right? There's nothing really stopping us from moving through certain places, but we just know in general, this is kind of resistance until it's not, and this is support until it's not. There was more green below us coming in on the day under this 75.25 on ES than there were a bunch of red, like for us to worry about. So the idea for me for longs this morning was if we test down in here, I know based on the current positioning when the market opens, that's about the strongest spot I could look for longs. So I feel good putting risk on there. 10-point stop, 5-point stop, whatever you want. You were pretty much proven true. And then we targeted kind of the top of that range where that resistance would also be. And we just failed to break over that. So if you fail there and you know that there's nothing but shorts in between here and where our support was before, the idea is you're going to probably fall back down into that range. So where can you target? I can target here. So again, that was the pre-market, okay? The pre-market positioning. What I like to do is I look around after the London close. Once London is out of the market, it is nothing left but us. It is the New York session participants. Whoever is still here playing the game, holding their positions, they're going to be the influence. So what does the positioning look like going into the afternoon? So to me, I know that right now, unless you're getting over this kind of 75-45 strike here, you don't even have to worry about anything higher. But what I also know is that if you're not over that strike, just the passage of time alone is telling you that all of these positions are pretty much going to point you down to where there's a balance. If I'm not over here, I'm coming back down here. If I'm not over this one, I'm coming back down. And each one of these that we stay under is just more selling. Market makers are just selling futures. Every 5 minutes, they're just selling, because we are not over these positions. But vice versa, if you were actually over this position, they would be buying to help you. And you're probably still going to pin here unless you're over these other strikes. So it's a combination of those things. You can form a plan at the start of the day and just kind of know, if I'm not here, where am I likely to end up on the day? So what do I need to see to like disprove that theory, right? Like what do I need to see to tell me that things are working out the way that I think they will from my pre-market plan? And it became very apparent to me, if we're not over this strike, if we're not over this 65, I think if you guys saw my Discord update, if you're in there, you saw my pre-market plan was pretty much saying, or even Instagram, if you check there late, if you're not over this, that idea of drifting up and kind of getting stuck up in this range, this kind of slow grind chop range over here, you're going to fall back to a balance. Where is that strongest balance? Down here. So this little blue line I drew on my chart is kind of me and my expectations for, sorry, somebody said that the Greeks are covering the chart. I think it's fine. You're not missing anything. I mean, this is, right? You missed like a 1/4 inch meat wad, so hopefully it's not too bad. But the idea here with this blue is, what do I think, mechanically speaking, is going to happen? Everything down below here is pretty supportive. Market makers are buying futures. We're more likely to just grind and chop, maybe pop back up out of here, and then just kind of work our way sideways to down into the close, right? So like, maybe I should adjust this for the fact the chart says that time runs out a lot sooner. This is a 5 minute, so the day ends about right here. So I think we can just kind of do this, maybe just chop around here a little bit, get stuck down, bounce back up, and then just kind of pin around this area into the close. Okay, like this is the kind of stuff you expect to see if you can't break higher. And we already know if you're not over this, 75-45, it's kind of telling you you're going to finish where somebody is actively buying to support you. So this is what I would expect to see. I would expect us to just kind of grind down against the 75-15 ES, and then maybe dip below, and then test this stronger support, and then just finish sideways. Maybe you get a little lift. Maybe you get a little something else into the close. Maybe you get some strong bidding to move up through this positioning. But the lack of all of this green until way up here, which is like the high of the day, I think it's easier to just assume we go sideways to down. There have been days recently where that has been disproven, right? Where we look like we are going to do that, and then we do get that strong bid that takes us through this red zone, and then market makers are buying all of a sudden, and we get that kind of squeezy move. Whenever you see this red, there is always that potential. But the fact that the biggest bar in this kind of immediate vicinity is overhead tells me that like I'm less enthused about that kind of a gamma-gasm, right? Because you're not getting the momentum. If you have a big one and then everything gets smaller behind it, it's kind of, just look at this, right? We sold below that big strike. Every single strike from there was just more momentum to keep selling, right? this strike right here, there's more selling just from that one strike to kind of keep us down. Every time we pop higher and we don't go anywhere, it's just going to keep selling futures against us until we kind of pin lower, right? So had I seen a big strike like this one sitting right here and we covered it, then I'd be more excited about like exploding up through this range again. But right now, I think we will just chop. And the odds are stronger that we chop sideways to down to finish a little lower, like closer to 90, maybe even 85 on SPX. So this 75.10 to 75.05-ish range, the odds are higher there just if nothing else happened. But the potential to move higher is assisted, you know, but it's from a momentum standpoint. What happens if that momentum peters out? We're just going to fall right back down to where we know the support is, right? So I do think you could take your longs from here and just say, like, I'm willing to risk, you know, 10 points. And what's the worst that could happen? We just go sideways to nowhere. But best case, I get some bidding that helps me. I know that I can explode up through this range and maybe get all the way back to high a day. Like, that is what you are placing your bets on. Using this data is telling you kind of, how can I best manage my risk? Where are the opportunities? And what do I need to see? What can I look for to confirm that what should be happening is happening, right? So green bar is getting bigger is not just because open interest expands, but overall gamma with charm event effects on a strike. No, Daniel, you're overthinking it, boss. These bars are just the positions. It's open interest in the sense that, like, there are people that are participating. They are buying and selling contracts here. The difference is it's not naive open interest, just saying, hey, somebody participated at that strike. It is that we know specifically that a market maker is long that, meaning a customer is short it, and vice versa. So hopefully that's making sense. But don't overthink it. These bars are just the positions. If you want to talk about charm and Vanna, that is something separate from what these positions are meant to represent on the chart. I don't necessarily think shorts outright, Mr. Stocks. I think it's more about saying, like, absent any bidding to move us back out of this range to the upper end of it, we know where the support is. So like I said, you are either taking longs from here knowing that to go lower, it will likely be a slow, steady grind, sideways to down. But like the best risk to reward is definitely longing from here, because you know if a strong bid comes in, this is all momentum to potentially help you. And it hopefully tells you, like, I would be happy to get, you know, another 15 points from here. Anything beyond that would be a bonus because of what I know lies above me, right? All of this is passively selling against me unless we are into and through it. Okay. What's up, Megan? Aloha. Hey. What's up, AXP? I'm sure you're doing well today. Some really great two-way action, obviously. Let's see here. Do you share Jen's view that the administration is managing the market and inducing short? I'm not playing conspiracy games. The guy knows his options stuff and his structure and behavior, but anything from a macro perspective that guy says, take that with a heaping grain of salt. If you're listening to someone like that from a macro perspective, but their expertise is specifically with options positioning, I feel like you're walking into a trap. I mean, conspiracy theorists start as something else all the time, right? They get some validity in one area and then they pivot to something else, thinking that, oh, my expertise over here warrants me talking about this thing over here. You know, that would be like me saying, oh, I'm a pro football coach, but now I can suddenly give you, you know, like pro basketball advice. One does not lead into the other necessarily, so your mileage might vary there. I'd be very careful about that. Anyway, guys, thank you for being here, number one. We will be doing a giveaway here before the end of my stream, so in about 20 minutes, we will run that in about the last 5 minutes, I want to say. So if you guys want to stick around, we will be giving away a Tradeify account today. A 50K Tradeify account. So if that is something you're interested in, we can certainly do that for you. And I think that would be pretty exciting. Do I like NQ? Could the gap be filled today? The gap could be filled today. I just think the odds of that happening are a lot lower just by virtue of how much this represents buying of futures. That is no small amount. That is actually a pretty good amount of contracts, which means a decent amount of positive gamma below you. That would just, passively speaking, be buffering you. Where they are just buying dips. So that's why I said my expectation would be like a steady, slow grind. Maybe if you got some volatility to force the issue, could that happen? Like you get stuck under 75.05, the 74.90 SPX, like then, you know, again, slow grind, perhaps. It's really not that far away if we got down in there. I'm trying to just go based off of what I can see in front of my face. Which at this point is telling me the market's pricing in about a 17-point move from here, between here and the end of the day. You know, do you see all of that? Or does it just keep getting smaller and smaller and we just end up moving like 10 points between here and the close? That to me is more realistic. But all of this red tells me you get a strong enough bid that comes in, we can move, you know, pretty quick in a hurry through this range. Everything I know about down here tells me that is less likely. It would take more to make that possible than it would to make this possible. Does that make sense? That's fine. They can be giveaway trolls all they want. I am not worried about it. If they're here, they're here. I'm happy they're here. Maybe they're learning something. Trying to learn all this, but it's so complicated. Oh God. Yeah, I mean, it can be. It depends on how you come to it. I try to simplify it. I don't want to get into the granularity of volatility and Vanna and Vega and all of these other Greeks. If you just look at it from the perspective of where are they helping me, where are they slowing me down, right? Where are they? Where would it accelerate through? Where is my opportunity? You know, and depending on what you're looking to do, where's my best risk to reward, right? So this morning, if I told you, looking at this, and you knew the supportive range started right about here at 75.25, it would take more to think that we were going through that support than it would to move from that support to the top of that range, right? So managing risk, the best risk to the reward coming in on the day based on what I saw was to essentially long the pre-market profile from this area, whether that's a 5-point, 7-point, 10-point stop, just target the top of that range. That was a 20+ point move. That's not complicated, right? And then you could have also said, I don't know that we actually break out. I think if we stall here, I'd be happy to take a short, but to where? I don't know, the most obvious area of support to stop us from selling any further. That's not complicated, right? You don't need to know anything else, but red means movement, green means slow. It's the opposite of a traffic light. Negative means movement, volatility, speed, momentum. Green means slow down. Doesn't mean you have to stop. It just means we're going to slow down here at the least. And how did that work out today? Slowed down, stopped and reversed, got some momentum, slowed down, stopped and reversed. Now we're coming back to it because we ran out of momentum, right? Why am I not looking at it on NQ? Because it's not correlated to NQ. SPX options correlate directly with ES futures trading, right? Same reason I don't look at SPY. SPY is an ETF. It's a levered ETF. It is not the actual index, okay? So SPX directly correlates to ES futures trading, right? So NQ, I would look at and say, okay, how does that match up? Pretty closely, right? So from this morning, I could have also said, I am watching NQ down here to see what ES does or SPX because of this positioning. I'm happy to take a long there. I do that all the time. More often when I'm already in an ES position, I will trade NQ counter that. So the same thing. ES longs this morning, I would have been watching up here on ES and said, if I don't think this continues, I will short NQ from here while I hold my ES longs. Right? So hopefully that makes sense, Theo, as far as NQ versus ES for me. But when they are aligned, and largely they are, I use the structure of ES and SPX with this options positioning because that is kind of the backbone of the market. The S&P 500 is the market. You can debate me all day long and say, well, tech's the strength. The breadth of the market is represented in the S&P, period. Point blank, end of story. The weighting, obviously, yes, is very tech heavy these days. Mag 7 is driving the boat. But if you want to look at like the overall structure, you cannot say that it is not the ES that is the backbone, the structure of the market in total. And that is mostly, in my framework anyway, with the belief that record level volumes of SPX options and how they are hedged directly correlates and influences the ES futures market, which means that same weighting because of tech with NQ, they are very tightly correlated. Shorts at 75.50 were amazing. Would you have taken that trade at the huge green zone? Yeah, I would have basically been watching to see, like, do I think this continues? What do I know about how the positions are shaping up? I knew coming into the day this upper range had a hard ceiling as those positions changed as we came into the London close period, which was kind of started around 9:30. Any weakness from there would tell me I could short that on tight risk back to the strongest balance on the day. That is how I use these zones. That's how I formulate my trades. Because there was no green in this range that was strong except for way down here, the risk was always any selling that doesn't have a balance in between can accelerate through this zone all the way down to the strongest support. So there you go. If we join the Discord, do we get the indicator you're using? How does one get that? Nobody gets it. This is just, all I'm taking is I'm taking options position totals and I'm dumping it into a homemade Claude configured trading view indicator. If you want that information to say like how are market makers long or short like this, you get that from a platform. There's VS3D is the one I use, options depth, spot gamma, quant data, gamma edge, quanted options, Skylit AI. There are all sorts of services. You just have to find which one fits your budget and what it is you want to do. So hopefully that helps you out. If you have time, can you explain the SPY correlation and lack thereof? If it's an ETF, right, it's held differently than the actual index, which is what SPX is. If it's the actual index of every participant in the S&P and the totality of how those are being traded and what those positions are, SPY is an ETF, so it's like it's just managed completely differently. So there's a reason why, like, if you take an SPX options trade, it settles European style, meaning cash. If it's either in the money or it's out the money. So it is settled cash right then. That's it. There is no like, oh, I got assigned X amount of shares of the underlying, which is what SPY would do. You don't have to worry about that with SPX. That is the key difference. But as far as like no market maker is holding shares of SPY because they would have to hedge that completely differently because of the potential for assignment of shares. Right? You don't own shares of SPX. You're owning that option contract. Yeah, Sour Apple, I love VS3D. It's so smooth. There's never any real performance issues with it. I love the guy that runs it. Dan is an amazing resource, former market maker. It's his tool. It's created by market makers. I can't say enough about it. I used to use options depth. I just like the experience of VS3D. So if that's something that you want to do, you can certainly join up there. If you guys have questions on it, shoot me your messages in a DM if I haven't answered them here. What platform's right for me, blah, blah, blah. I'm happy to do that for you. But to whoever asked about the Discord, if you want to join the Discord, the difference between that and like following me here is obviously I'm limited to just this time. So I'm happy to share whatever information I can, whether that's my strategy, what I see on the day, but I'm restricted to the moment that I am on YouTube live for free. If you want that detail of like, here's a trade I'm thinking of, you know, whatever, then then that's where you would want to see us in the Discord, right? And then you get access to Jake's level indicator, you get access to me, you get access to Ron G, any trades we're signaling there, things we're thinking of. You know, that's where you would kind of look at that. So if I was going to show you guys kind of like, well, how do the rake levels on ES for the day correlate with what I saw, right? Why did some levels get respected versus others not, right? And we say, okay, well, what was the pre-market positioning coming in on the day? What did that look like? Okay, I'll just get rid of this for now. Or we'll just leave it, screw it. The idea here is like, you had your opening print, we came down, tested this level, but we knew that this was like support. So this was a strong kind of in between here, these two levels being close together. This is a decent support because of dealers being long. There was no level, there's no rake level above. So how did we know where things might slow down and stop? Where is the secret sauce? Right? So you have confluence with one, lack of another one, then you have what I have, right? That gives me an edge that no other level really had at the time. So that would be the benefit there. But even down here, strongest support, bottom of the support range on the day. There happens to be a rake level there. Why do you think that level would be a little more strong coming in if you had access to this? Oh, there's some confluence. Mitch's dealer positioning that he sees lines up with the rake level there. Okay, that is a really strong supportive range because in between, rather than looking to short from here to here, I knew that would be a not great trade. You have that confluence, you have that additional benefit. So hopefully that is something you guys could look at. But you do get access to that rake levels indicator, which on its own, more often than not, is more than enough for most people. If you guys are newer to trading and you're looking for like a program, I am a former mastermind student. That's how I learned price action and trading those level to levels and having trend analysis and multi-time frame analysis. If you want to trade more simply and just have something that is repeatable in that way to catch those level to level moves with just price action, then you have access to that in the Discord. But like I said, guys, I'm generally not here to sell you anything. But if somebody asks, I'll answer that question. But that's kind of the extent of the Discord conversation. So yeah, but I think right now, I think we're seeing it play out pretty much as expected. Again, this was the pre-market positioning on my screen right now. That, you know, if you were looking at NQ, I think that would have also kind of held true, but I think now that we're into the afternoon, that post-London close time, the story has shifted a little bit more and just reinforces this idea that we're going down to sideways, right? Yes, Sour Apple, I am MM15 also. Maybe the best class because it was the last one, but there are success stories all throughout the mastermind programs. Every single one Jake has done has led to many, many profitable traders, so hard to argue with results. Yeah, 300 a month is not that bad when you realize you can literally turn around one SPX contract and 4x that off of this information. So if you have access to a platform that can that can do that, $300 a month is like nothing. Obviously, that's not the case for everybody. If this is a bridge too far for you, just all you got to do is stack some trades, watch here for free. You know, check out the Discord if you want to join that, and you will get there. Anyway, guys, yeah, I think, you know, I drew this little graph of where I think price might end up going into 3 p.m. And so far it looks, where's 3 p.m.? Right there. So I think this kind of will likely prove out unless there is some kind of stronger bid to come in. But that is my end of day kind of plan. So that's where I would be if I was holding anything. If we had to choose one, should we buy the Discord for a month or VS3D? Yeah, I think the Discord, listen, I'm not here to shill VS3D. Like I said, there are many other platforms out there that are cheaper. So then if you, yeah, I think Joe Vegs is right. It's one of those things where I think the Discord is best if you're newer, for sure. I think it's best if you are looking for access to the mastermind program. Maybe you're already a successful trader, but you want like, why is Jake able to hold for bigger moves? I struggle with holding. You can either watch these YouTubes, right? You can watch these free streams and try to pick that up that way. Or if you want more of like the detail of like, well, how did Jake learn his system? How did Mitch learn Jake's system? How did Ron? How did Alan? How did Christian? We all started there. So the one through line between everybody on Project 365 is that we all started with the mastermind, or that we took it at some point, right? We're a former student. So that's the thing, is like that's the real value of that. Is for me to take that program, it was thousands of dollars. It was really intensive. It was like 2 weeks straight, and I didn't ever want to miss any of those sessions, where now it's pretty much like self-guided. You have access to it as long as you're in the Discord. You can learn that program as time allows. And then you have a bunch of people around to answer questions that have all been there. So that would be the main benefit. I think if you're looking to leverage this, you know, you'd have to pay for a platform that gives you that data first. That is kind of the downside to it, is if you want simplicity, then like you have to have access to the data first. But if you want to learn kind of how to interpret it, whether that's directly through the platform you pick or from watching these streams to see how I choose to leverage it, other people do it differently. Other people don't trade futures off of this at all. They just trade SPX, or they trade XSP or SPY, and they correlate it that way, and they just stick to options. It is entirely up to you. I think most people that are on these streams are probably futures traders, right? But that is what I would say, is we're here for free. We're here to show you what we know. Each one of us does something differently. Like Christian's going to be on here in a few minutes, and he's going to trade ICT concepts. You know, not for me, but it might be for you, right? So you just got to find what jives with you, what sticks with you the best, and go from there. Let's see, you might catch some other stuff from the other guys. Yeah, if you guys want, I'll link you here. What's up, Christopher? Congrats on your run. I saw you had a killer 5K or something, or I'm probably misrepresenting that, but I saw you on Instagram killing it in Ottawa. I liked Ottawa when I visited there, so shout out Canada. Anyway, so I'm just going to shout you guys out real quick. That's a link to my Instagram if you want to follow me there. If you have some DM'd questions you want to answer, I have a link in my bio there for more like intensive one-on-one stuff I've been working with people on. So if you want to get more hands-on on the Gamma stuff beyond just like getting alerted, you can certainly ping me there, and I'll work more closely with you on a one-on-one basis. But again, not trying to sell anything to you guys here, but this is just a place where you can find us. And then, yeah, if you want access to the Discord, you have access to that through that WAP page there, and that's where you can find me, Jake, Joel, who does Bookmap. You've got Ron G, Mullet, Groove. And then again, the main thing there is having access to that mastermind program if you're unfamiliar. That's where I'd go. But guys, like I said, my time is coming up. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to give away that Tradeify 50K account. So if you just give me a second, I will get that set up for you here. And let's do that. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe. Okay. So we are going to do this. We're going to give it 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and start that giveaway. So if you guys want to go ahead and hit ! enter on your screen, you guys will be registered for that 50K Tradeify account. I believe that is a growth account. And if so, I will go ahead and give you that code. What you're going to have to do is whoever ends up winning, you will just have to ping me on Instagram, shoot me a DM, and I will make sure you get that code and that you can redeem that code. So we will do that here in 5 minutes, right before the stream switches over to Christian. We'll make sure to get that giveaway completed, give that to the winner. In the meantime, if you guys are here and you have any additional questions on what's on the screen, anything I've talked about or shared so far on the screen, this is your time to ask. I would like to think that we've kind of covered what I think will happen into the afternoon. I'm really not seeing a path for much higher unless you get some really strong bidding, which probably seems way oversimplified, but I think it's quite clear kind of what we're dealing with on the day. I think at best, you could maybe get back into this area. I think high of day would be a little more difficult, but entirely possible. I just think, again, looking at what we do know and what we can assume, mechanically speaking, about market makers, is that's a lot of pressure kind of pointing you down here. So you might get up there. I don't think you extend any higher. I think our path is, again, a slow, steady grind, either sideways to slightly further down. I don't know that you would see some kind of like a flush type move at all, unless there was some crazy like volatility or something. But even then, I think your mileage is going to be a little varied or limited there. But I do think between here and, like, again, this kind of 75, 55 high a day area on ES, if there's a strong bid, you guys know the deal. This whole zone is telling you it's all about momentum. If you get the momentum, there's nothing stopping you or slowing you down until you get towards that high of day. But I think we've kind of seen, absent any of that, like someone could be looking at this going, oh, it's a double bottom. Maybe. So you could go long from here knowing that like it is pretty supportive below you, and the only thing that would really stop us from going down will be, right, just that slow, steady grind of support. It is strongest down here closer to 75.05, but if you wanted to take stabs long, I'm not going to argue with you, because the potential for movement that would be rapid, if you're a momentum trader especially, would be to the upside. You have pretty defined risk. I'm not telling you to go long from here. I'm just saying I understand it. I personally am writing a short right now. I've got a 74.75 fly that I put on to the downside. That was pretty dumb because I don't know that we're going to actually grind down in there, but I can profit off of it just by this direction and chop. So we'll see how close I get. I took a 15 wide, so technically I need to be right about here for that to be profitable. So if I finish under 75.05 on ES, I make money, right? But that's just me. That is my only real trade here for this afternoon. All right, guys, so would I buy the 7,500, 75.05 spread? I mean, you certainly could. But if I was playing for downside, Daniel, and I wanted like a cheap put spread, yeah, I'd be looking at like maybe a 95.90 instead. If I was looking for downside, if that's what you're looking for. Can I explain how to use the VIX, look at the charts to give insights into our ES plays? I will go over that tomorrow. We will cover that on tomorrow's stream. There is a lot of confusion around VIX that I see with people that unfortunately just don't get what VIX actually represents. So we'll cover that tomorrow. Somebody make sure to bring that up on stream tomorrow and we'll get into that one. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead. We are going to wrap it up. I'm going to give it 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. All right. And we're going to pick our winner. Cruzito _75. Cruzito 75. You are the winner, Cruzito 75. Please respond here if you don't mind. Giveaway is closed. Cruzito, let's go. Thanks, brother, for being here. Please hit me up on this Instagram that's going to pop up there on the Streamlabs link. If you can click on that, shoot me a DM, screenshot this chat with your YouTube username so I know it's you, if at all possible. But the main thing is DM me there, and we will go ahead and get you that code for that Tradeify account. All right? Cool. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Stay tuned for Christian starting here in just 1 minute. He will guide you to the end of the day through Power Hour with his ICT trading concepts. I know he likes to go over some trade psychology and stuff as well, so make sure you guys bring some good questions to him. And if you guys have any questions for me in particular, now that I'm jumping off, DM me on Instagram. If you guys are in the Discord, you know where to find me there. I'm happy to answer any questions off camera. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow afternoon. Make sure, once again, stay tuned for Christian. And then you've got Ron G and Alan tonight, Jake in the morning, and then Christian and I tomorrow afternoon. But appreciate you guys being here, especially if you're new. And if you're a diehard, appreciate you extra. Love you guys, and we will see you later, all right? Peace.
Yo, what is up, chat? What's up? How's everyone doing? Just getting set up here quickly. Shit. Interesting session today. Let's see. We'll hop into the charts right now, letting people trickle in here. Yo. 209 in the building. The legend, my guy. What up, GOAT? Jordan, what up? You day trade while walking the runway right now. What do you mean? Miggy, what up? Interesting session. We have big divergence between ES and NQ, which I'll hop in and break down briefly right now, or go really into depth, and also walk you guys through the setup I took in the morning, which I posted on my Instagram. But fuck yeah. How y'all doing though? Long ass weekend for myself. It felt like those 3 days felt like it was a whole week. Walking the runway. The model. Oh my guy. Yeah, I mean, let's hop into charts. Let's get straight into it here. Get straight into it, chat. Big divergence between if we look specifically at the 4 hour here, the last 4 hour candle is very different, right, between ES and NQ. On ES, we are rejecting the bearish 4 hour gap, while on NQ we literally inverted this bearish gap, the same gap that we rejected off of. We are inverting and closed above it. So it should be an interesting session, given that we are at all-time highs. We're at all-time highs. NQ literally, or ES literally created relative equal lows here on the new week opening gap. And so it's a little tricky because we're creating divergence here with ES, but also ES created divergence here at the highs with bearish order flow. So going into the session, I'm more than likely going to wait for the 11 a.m. open just to see how we react. Two things that I'm noticing is, I mean, if we look at the daily currently, right? The daily, if the daily close how it's looking here on ES, it's not looking bullish essentially. Now look at the daily on NQ. We have, again, whenever we have divergence like this, I typically don't like to put anything on, specifically in like PM session or anything other than AM session, because it could be tricky, right? In this case, ES is saying lower while NQ is saying higher. So again, for me to take something, I'm going to be very patient on the 11 a.m. open, which would be the 2 p.m. open on Eastern time, right? So given that we have relative equal lows here on ES, and we're rejecting bearish order flow, right? Bearish fair value gaps. On the hourly, we have a fair value gap here in discount of the range. So this swing low to swing high, that's 50%. So this is an area where I would potentially look for a potential short, potential lower high back into discount of whatever this up leg is, right? I'm not looking for this whole downside target again, because and again, I would take it on NQ, not ES. But the reason why I'm more on like scalp mentality is because of the divergence that we have between assets. Now, on the other hand, if we look at NQ has been, it's bullish. Like there's no indication for me to short this other than a retracement back into, again, that 4-hour fair value gap that will be created again at 11 a.m. So in about 24 minutes. So let's see, the hourly, we had a bullish gap here that we kind of inverted but closed back above it. We're currently rejecting the last up candle before the down move. So if we take the swing low to swing high, we retrace the discount of the range. We take this leg now, right? We retrace back into premium of the range, this 1-hour candle here. Let's zoom in on the 15-minute. So what's it called? Yeah, honestly, at this point, I'm very more of an observer going to the session. I want to see ES take out these lows or come retrace up to this area, which would be an area of interest for me to potentially try a short. Again, today would be lower probability conditions, just given the divergence that we're having, right? Strictly on the 15-minute, literally pop up the 15-minute, right? And look at this. Look at the 15-minute on NQ compared to ES, right? It looks significantly more bullish on NQ than ES. So ES being the stronger or the index that I put more weight on, given that it holds more names. It's just overall like the bigger brother. I am leaning more onto the downside going into PM session. So yeah, but again, I'm more of a reactionary trader, so I'm waiting for either or, right? Either the downside or these lows to get taken for me to then adjust my game plan, or this area to get tapped into to then see if we get a potential scalp to the downside. And if we completely invert it, then I'd be looking at NQ for a continuation setup. But I hope you guys understand why today, specifically like in the PM session, it's a bit trickier, just given conditions, right? If we literally just stare at the 4-hour and literally just stare at the 4-hour on NQ and ES from when market opened on, when was it, on Sunday, we are significantly weaker on ES. So with that in mind, I don't like, I guess, rushing into trades, because again, NQ is saying upside, ES is saying downside. So again, long story short, I'm sitting on my hands until I get a solid confirmation via the 4-hour, 1-hour, ideally at the 11 a.m. open. So yeah, let's see what today brings, chat. Let's see if we can catch potential setups going into a short week here, chat. Solid day today. Let's eat. Fuck yeah, solid setup in the morning that I took. Again, I posted it on my Instagram. It was solid day. What up, Adam, my guy? Yo, Cup of Joe, my guy. Appreciate you, my guy. Yeah, fucking literally waiting on price. Not really liking anything in this area. I'm waiting on price to ideally the 4-hour. I want to see the 4-hour candle close and then the new 4-hour open, and yeah, go from there. So I ideally want to see add alerts here at the fair value gap tap on ES or these lows. So again, if I wasn't on stream, I'd literally just set those alerts, and if I was trading, I'd probably go on my phone, go to the kitchen, go maybe make a quick snack or something, right? Raul Lorante, what up? We're gonna make another 4K this afternoon, big dog. Fuck yeah, let's see. Manifest that shit, man. Manifest that shit. On my biggest screen day ever today, found a new confluence that has changed the game for me, and today I really showed. What's that confluence, my guy?
The return on investment for Microsoft versus
what'd you change up?
And save it as
Primo, how's it going, brother? What up, my guy? How you doing, Alex? VWAP and 20 EMA. Yeah, share the sauce. The VWAP, yeah. All those confluences work, brother. VWAP, EMAs, they all work. Just be consistent with them. And specifically, like the last month, if you were to tell me you banked and you're an EMA trader in these market conditions, I'd be like, yep, I believe you. But yeah, fucking fire. Whatever those confluences are, stick with them and don't change them. Stay pretty disciplined in that aspect. Bless, brother. Just another day. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, Alex. Hell yeah. Yeah, again, fucking long weekend for me, chat. I haven't done this in a minute, which is on Saturday. All I did was stay home and watch Netflix. I haven't done this shit in a minute, and it felt amazing. It felt because typically I would whenever I try to do that, it doesn't end well for me. I get very anxious like towards the end of the day. But this Saturday I was literally on Netflix. I finished one show, and bro, I think maybe the idea that it was a long weekend, so I still had Saturday, Sunday, so it was technically my Friday. Yeah, it felt amazing to do that, and yeah, again, I haven't done that in a fucking minute, which felt nice. Blessed. Up 4,100 this month, sticking to both of those. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. That's fire, brother. Fuck yeah. I love to see that shit. I love it. He said, what are your VWAP settings? Asking Cup of Joe. He said, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. That's fire. Yeah, I don't use indicators, but I know they come in clutch, especially when you're like holding positions for a while. You can use it as a way to trail, as like a dynamic R trailing system. But yeah, I was big on indicators back in the day. I would use Bollinger Bands, I would use EMAs, I would use what else? VWAP for sure. I would use and that like on the intraday timeframes, and on the higher timeframes I would just simply use EMAs, and they work. But over the years I've just literally removed things over time and realized that they were more noise than benefit to me. Watch your movie Limitless this weekend. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, fuck yeah, it's a really good movie. It's a really fucking good movie. Lomeli, Victoria, how's it going? You catch anything this morning? Yeah, that Limitless movie is amazing. That shit's amazing, chat. That shit was good. I watched a show called Nemesis. It was this one right here. Nemesis. It was this show right here. It was fucking, yeah, it was a really good show. Really fucking good show. Yeah, I had no plans of staying home and not doing anything. I had some things to do, but I literally just canceled, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna finish this season. But it was another good show. Yeah, that Limitless movie is fire. Limitless movie is fire. Again, chat, waiting on price here. Waiting on price to either tap the hourly fair value gap here on ES, or take out these relative equal lows here. Again, I hope you guys understand why these are from how I trade, right? They are lower probability conditions, just given where we are, right? ES is slightly weaker than NQ, although we are at all-time highs. So my bias is, my brain goes to, okay, long until you're wrong. But and we bounced at the new week opening gap, or the new week opening print, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, from here on, just being patient. I want to be patient because I don't want to long this just yet. I want more confirmation from ES saying, okay, I want to trade higher. So in order for me to do that, I just got to remain patient. What this looks like on NQ is a potential higher low, but again, remaining patient given ES. I don't want to rush into anything. I don't want to, I don't want to take anything when there's mixed signals given to me by both asset classes. So just waiting for now. Caught some longs for a quick 1K. Start off light for the week. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, Victoria. You're crushing it. The trending show. choppy afternoon. Man, it is, yeah. I've realized that afternoon action isn't as good as AM action in my opinion. I mean, not just in my opinion, it goes to show, right? Look at morning action versus PM action. But more than anything, look at morning action compared to all the other sessions. Like, sure, you can find trades in every session, but I think with how I trade specifically too, which involves like it involves speed. I want to see displacement. AM session is where it's at, but every session has its potential setups, if you want to call them. But for now, again, just waiting on one of these two to get taken, and again, sitting on hands. Most of trading is sitting on your hands and not doing a thing. So annoyed, longed ES, stopped for break even and missed the NQ shorts. Annoying day for me so far. Yeah, true trades, that's what I'm getting at. It's the divergence. Whenever I see divergence like this, which if we really look into it, right? ES is literally at these lows down here, right? Where NQ is literally creating higher highs and higher lows, right? These lows didn't get taken by these lows over here, and we're sitting above, what is it, 200 points above where ES is at currently. So with that in mind, like you can be long bias on NQ, but given that ES will always be for the most part, right, be the what I like to call it is like the big brother, the muscle behind both assets. I think that it's smart to say, for example, if you are bullish on NQ and ES is currently looking how it's looking, which is creating lower lows and lower highs, I think it's smart to wait and be patient for both assets to align, right? Or wait for NQ to flip to the downside. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. And over the years that I've traded both assets, I noticed that every time in this exact scenario, every time I would try to ignore ES and just look at NQ, I would get run over, essentially. There's no other way to put it, but anything works, right? Anything will work. It's just a matter of picking your pockets. And for me, this isn't a high quality pocket, in my opinion. Also watched Trading Places, an oldie with Eddie Murphy and Dan Funny. It's a trading movie, really? Let's see. Let me change that bias to cash. Sidelines. Let's look into that movie you're talking about, bro, while we wait for this shit to play out. You said it was Trading Places. Holy shit, 1983? Old ass movie. It's a trading movie? Yeah, I've never. Probably give it a watch here sometime soon. Yeah, I don't watch movies often, honestly, but whenever it's a trading movie or a money movie, I gravitate towards those movies. By the way, passed my TBT eval giveaway account and just got another one with code RAKE. My guy, fuck yeah. Hell yeah, just build it slow and steady. No need to rush into it, Joe. Lomeli, thanks, bro. You've helped me a lot holding trades longer and have confidence in holding it as well. Fuck yeah, Jay. Hell yeah, that's what I'm here for, honestly. I think I think a lot of you guys here would benefit from simply taking the idea behind, okay, like today, I'm sitting on this on silence for now, right? We still have a whole essentially 2 hours. So I'm sitting on silence now. Why is he sitting on his hands, right? Why isn't he in shorts, or why isn't he in longs? So taking those I guess that thought process and kind of thinking to yourself like, okay, what is he saying that I'm not saying, or what is what he's saying confirming my thesis? Is it not? Why or why not? And I think if you start thinking about these streams that way with every single host, I think it would bring huge benefits. So yeah, Jay, I'm glad you're finding value. You would consider the ES to be the big brother essentially? Yes, I do. I do. Just from like a numbers perspective, it holds 500 names while NQ holds 100. And 100 of those are bigger, or essentially more tech names than ES. So yeah, whatever NQ is missing, ES will essentially have. So it, in a way, it has more information. That's kind of the way I look at it. Been finding myself getting smoked when I trade both, so I've been focusing more on one aim. Yeah, Jordan, I what I've realized for myself is, like, for example, say I was short biased here on, for whatever reason, on both assets, right? And I would take ES because it's the weaker name for whatever reason, right? I would NQ, once I got in, would be the one that tanked and played out while ES was holding, and I'm like, fuck, I should have taken it on NQ. But during the trade, NQ was looking stronger, so I should have. So that's kind of like I started realizing, okay, this goes back to what I keep saying, what I keep preaching is keep variables consistent. So for me, the variable that's consistent is trading NQ. Like I'm looking at ES for data, but for me, it eliminates decision making in the moment. I'm like, which assets should I take? It looks better on ES, but I want to take it on. So it eliminates that thought process. I'm just strictly going to NQ, but also it keeps variables consistent. So whenever I go back and review, whenever I'm, if you're forward testing, you get to see exactly if it's working or not. And there's one less element of randomness. That's how I look at it. One less element of randomness. Dude, best movie? Fuck yeah. Yeah, totally. I'm being patient, just a little FOMO seeing the upside and downside move and knowing I got Hada plus long week. Yeah, honestly, that's why for me, coming into the week, I like to go half R on Mondays, just given that over the weekend, for me, I noticed that, like, if I have a big red day, if my first trade of the week is a big red one, I'm like, shit, I have to come back. Like, I'm already starting the week off essentially in a bad spot. That's like mentally what I'm thinking. So what I changed over the years was like, okay, coming into the week, I'm going in, half R. And if it's red, cool, slow week, right? I can make it back on my next trade. But if it's green, I now have a cushion. So that's kind of how I go about it. And the same thing for Fridays. For Fridays, if I have a regular week, I'll just go half R on Fridays. But if I have a really, really good week, which happens, say maybe 1 out of 5 weeks or 1 out of 7 weeks where it's a really, really good week, I try to push it on Fridays. Say I'm up, say 15R, right? On a really, really, really good week, which isn't normal for me. But say I'm up 15R. For that Friday, I'll go into the session. Okay, I'm trading 1.5 or 2R per trade, right? And I have 2 takes. So nothing changes in my approach, but just like the way I look at risk. But yeah, it's all about understanding and knowing yourself, right? Yo, chill, you might have unks in the chat. 1983 ain't old. Nah, shit, my parents were what, 77? My parents were 6 years old when that movie was made, I think. Yeah. Just snagged 1K on that NQ long for my new Tradeify rake account. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, Aaron. Crushing it, my dog. It's not a trading movie. It's about Eddie Murphy homeless guy trading places with Dan. Okay, successful businessman. Fuck yeah, I'll probably give it a watch. The managing a hedge fund social experiment. Fuck yeah. Yeah, I'll give it a watch. I'll for sure give it a watch here sometime soon. So in about 4 minutes or so, the new 4-hour candle will be opening. So let's see what that brings us here. So far, if my bearish thesis is confirmed, right, to the downside before, here's the thing, I wouldn't be looking to short anything. If ES takes out these relative equal lows, I'd want to see a pullback first, then attempt to short into discount of this range. What I am liking is how NQ is holding that last up candle before the down move on the hourly chart. The last hourly, now the last 2 hours, the last 2 hours have been holding. And 15 minute, we have a swing highs here that we could potentially take out before we move lower. This line up above here is premium of the range, so it's a fair value gap on the 15 minute in premium of this leg, right? Which is something to look at. With how price is delivering currently, it's looking like we might not even get the retracement that I'm looking for, which is okay. Yeah, like I said, chat, just waiting on price. I want to see or take the best quality setup given conditions. The last, if we look since 9 a.m., essentially we've been creating higher highs and higher lows on NQ, while ES has been creating lower lows. You can see it clearly on the 5 minute here. So it's big divergence between both assets that I'm looking at. Big divergence. Are you short bias until we touch the new week opening gap? So we already tapped the new week opening gap on ES. On NQ, we are holding a little bit higher. So what I mentioned earlier on stream was let's look at the daily. Look at the daily on ES versus the daily on NQ. This is a question for chat. Does it look like both assets are correlating or no? The last daily candle. That's a question for chat. Does it look like we are correlating? Correlating meaning that they're trading side by side how they should. A little bummed I had an NQ long sold first position. Didn't go through 30K like that. Yeah, but you got to be okay with that, Aaron. You'll never be okay with catching a small piece of a big move. If you could do that daily, you're going to make a shit ton of money. You got to be okay with catching a small piece of a big move. No, exactly. So with that, right, with the weaker asset here would be ES, given that we took out prior all-time highs or buy side liquidity, and we are now trading below it, right? Whereas NQ is holding. So this is what I mean by market conditions are not optimal for trading currently right now, right? Am I open for a scalp? Yes, which is kind of what I mentioned earlier. The scalp I would be looking for essentially is, okay, the 4 hour this is perfect timing. The 4 hour just opened, right? The new 4 hour candle. So now what I'd want to see is if these relative equal lows get left how they are and we retrace back into that 4 hour order block on ES, 4 hour order block, which aligns with the 1 hour fair value gap, right? Which aligns with discount of the range. So this swing high to swing low, 50% is around right there. If that gets tapped, I'd be willing to take a trade, a scalp into discount of that new leg that would be the retracement, right? So whenever we don't have data there yet, but potentially like a swing low in that new leg, something like this.
Hints of fresh leather, bold new features.
Be looking to take something like this.
Average reward, $3,249.
Skip this ad.
Start.
So yeah, something like this. If these lows don't get taken, once these lows get taken, that bias kind of gets invalidated. Why? Because we would be in that new week opening gap, and we would take out the week lows essentially. So now what I consider that being is essentially support. Now I'd want to see more price develop, right? By price, I mean like the 4 hour, 1 hour to develop, to then give me a potential lower high into lower draw, right? So for now, again, tricky because ES is I like shorts on ES, but then if I look at NQ, right? I look at NQ, and we on the 4 hour, we already looked at the daily, but on the 4 hour, we inverted that gap. We essentially retraced back into that bullish gap here, right? That bullish fair value gap, which is I guess you could say two confluences there on the 4 hour. On the hourly, we retrace into discount, so we take the swing low, swing high, discount of the range. Let's delete that line here. Discount of the range. Now we take the swing low, swing high of that range. We trade it up to premium of the range. So now, yeah, now what we have here is where is that 4 hour? We have a 4 hour gap here that could potentially trade into, and that could give us the short entry that we're looking for on ES. But again, I would take it on NQ. So yeah, it's a little tricky today. It's a little tricky given the divergence on both assets. Again, we are at all-time highs, or NQ is at all-time highs, so I'm leaning more towards the upside on NQ, and then looking at how price has been on ES, right? We're almost getting like this failure to go higher on the ES here. So again, remaining patient. I want the 4 hour to tell me more. I want the 4 hour to either trade back lower into that fair value gap here, or retrace back up into that area of interest that we mentioned already, right? So until then, until that happens, one of those two things happen, I am remaining cash, right? My line in the sand for shorts would be that fair value gap here. That fair value gap, which I drew here a line, meaning that once price trades up to it, if ES holds this fair value gap slash this hourly fair value gap slash 4 hour bearish order block slash equilibrium, I would be I guess for me the criteria would be NQ would have to hold this, which is premium of the range. So we take swing high to swing low. Again, price is fractal, so it's gonna happen on every time frame. It's the what's it called? OTE 0.62 to 0.79. So for now, literally just waiting. And if that gets inverted, right, which is also a possibility, which is why I'm cash, because I'm 50-50. Anything can happen. Something like that happens, and we'll see if we get an entry setup, but more than likely not interested unless we get that potential short take here on ES. And yeah. Yeah, I've been focusing on that, trying to take my smaller moves. I feel like the big wins, I have mess up with my mental, and in turn take bigger losses. Yeah, I think aiming you're focused too much on the numbers. Literally just wake up every single day with the idea that you're just an observer, right? You're an observer of price, and you're collecting cash days, right? Today could be a cash day, not for this session specifically, but that's a mentality you should have. And if you find a take, right, size accordingly, take the trade and expect it to be a loser. Expect it to be a loser. Set your target, your stop, go out, take a couple breathers. Maybe take 10 deep breaths in and remind yourself what your rules are, what you're here for, and then come back to the desk. It either stopped you out or hit TP and you're managing it accordingly. And yeah, I think the last thing you should be focused on is how much you're up or how much you're down. I would take probability, right, over your R multiple every single day. Although they both matter, but like try to get that out of your mind. Like, oh, today I'm aiming for a 6R or I'm aiming for a 5R. No, I think the goal should be to take high quality trades and just show up every day and compound every single day. Short holiday week always suck. Yeah. Thank you. Just got a coffee. Fire. Damn. A little sweeter than usual. But it's maple syrup, organic maple syrup with bananas and of course milk and espresso. Fire. We do have a 50K account giveaway today, chat. Motherfucker hitting, huh? Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Shit's fire. It's only my second coffee for the day, which I do make homemade coffees, but this one was it's from a local coffee shop. Appreciate you always dropping knowledge, personal Lomeli. It's inspiring. Fuck yeah. That's what I'm here for, chat. I genuinely believe that if you guys just tune in every single day, you guys will, in a matter of 6 months, you guys will be at a whole different spot. Not signal botting, none of that shit. Just literally listening to everything I'm saying. Understanding why I'm cash, understanding why I'm long bias, understanding why why I'm waiting for certain things to happen. Like now, right? You guys understand why I'm on the sidelines and why I consider this being a low probability environment. Now, if you can detect this every single morning for you guys, for however you trade, that's where the real benefit starts happening. And then you start kind of slowly developing certain clues for yourself. Like, oh, this is looking like a trade where I should potentially take because of XYZ, or this is the day where I should miss because of XYZ. And that's the overall goal here. What it do, Lomeli? My guy Ramirez, how's it going? How's it going? Someone said, Joe, you said gold is melting. Sheesh. Gold is melting. Huh, this is looking solid, chat. I never trade gold, and I don't think I've ever touched gold, but this is looking fire, chat. See how that holds here. Yeah, gold is on a mission. Gold's on a mission to take out prior week lows here, chat. We'll see how prior day lows react, but if these hold, prior week lows are incoming. And bro, I was just brewing another cup. Chat, how much coffee is too much coffee, chat? I've had this debate with a shit ton of people because I consider myself a very avid coffee drinker, and I drink a lot. It's almost like I don't feel normal without coffee, which is it might be a bad thing, right? I don't do stimulants, but coffee is I'm addicted. Definitely with knowledge I trade ICT. I just be in here with Rake for the vibes. Yeah, fuck yeah. Same here, brother. I have a J stream on in the morning, every single morning. And if I'm done with the trade, or if I enter a trade and I'm just literally forgetting about it, which is a lot of times, I just have him on and I unmute him. There's times where the reason I have him on mute is because there's times where I'd be long and he'd be short. And then I I'd be in the trade. I'm like, fuck. I was like, my guy's short right now, and I'm long. It's consolidating around an area where I consider to go break even. Fuck it, let me just scratch it. And it's happened a couple times where it plays out for me, and I'm like, it would have played out. So I'm like, yeah, I can't have this on. I can't have it. Although I'm doing my best to trust, I guess, the system, but it's hard when I have certain like voices in my head, I guess. You do in fact drop gems, though, bro. Your psychology is peak as well. Fuck yeah, hell yeah. And as the months go by, as weeks go by, I do plan on, yeah, I do plan on dropping a lot of knowledge. I plan on showing everything. Once you start shaking, facts. I drink no coffee, 0 coffees. Victoria, come on, Victoria, you're missing out. Honestly, I envy people who drink no coffee. I'm like, fuck, you're telling me you literally wake up every single morning and drink water? Genuinely, I've tried to cut it out, but I just can't. Once you start shaking, facts. Hell yeah. Once you can't sit still for longer than 5 minutes, I think that's where you've had enough. 15 cups? Nah, no way you drinking 15 cups a day. I do about 4 cups. Yeah, I'm around that spot. Anywhere from like 2 to 4 cups a day, depending on the day. Double caffeine intake is a sweet spot. I drink about yes. Bro, I'm with you right there. Same, pure teas. Yeah, I've tried to cut it and do teas, but man, I'm genuinely addicted. Two to 3 cups my limit, or else I'm jittery and won't sleep later. Bro, yeah, I try to have my last cup around like 2-3 p.m. And like right now for where I'm at, it's currently 11 a.m. So I'll probably drink this one and then do another one like at a Starbucks or something. Yeah, I enjoy that routine. My first coffee first thing in the morning, and then this one like while I stream now, and then another one at Starbucks. Talking about Starbucks. Do you guys have a favorite Starbucks order that I should probably try today? But yeah, chat. Waiting on price here. That's why we're yapping about coffee here. Waiting on price to tap into that bearish gap on the hourly. You said Rate gets stopped out a lot more than me. Yes, but when he catches a winner, that's his trading style, right? When he catches a winner, he's fucking holding that shit. And that's how he's able to bank. You're drinking iced coffee right now? Don't let the institution hear that. Yeah, as usual, looking for a cash date. Brother, if you guys adopt that mentality, I'm not saying you have to sit out every fucking day or 10 days out of 20 days of the month, but adopt. It's all about expectation management. Expect that every day will be a cash day. And if something A++ presents itself, you take it. But yeah, that mentality, I think, like you said, Alex, everyone should fucking have. Wake up every morning and piss excellence. I just have it as a treat here and there, like a cold brew, hot coffee here and there. Fuck yeah. Yeah, no, honestly, Ramirez, I think you're doing it the right way. I think I'm too dependent on coffee, and I think if I'm too dependent on something, I find an issue in that. You said 100 milligram caffeine pills are goated? Crazy. Caffeine pills are you're popping caffeine pills in first thing in the morning? That's fucking, yeah, I'm not laughing at you, but I'm thinking about how for me you're popping them like vitamins or a latte. Yeah, takes a few weeks to get off caffeine cleanly. Bro said rhino pills. Oh shit. The fuck. Takes it. Oh fuck. Oh man, Chad, I'm trying not to laugh. Takes a few weeks to get off caffeine cleanly. I have 2 to 3 energy drinks a day for 12 years now, and I just cold turkey a month ago, and it's the best decision I've ever made. Fuck yeah. Yeah, the energy drinks I think are horrible. Horrible. Yeah, fucking glad you cut that shit out. Yeah, I'm trying to get on that level, bro, where I just... It's hard, bro. It's honestly hard. Caffeine's like such a pleasure. It brings such joy to my day that I think that I ask myself, is it worth the trade-off? Exactly how I've been feeling, brother. Appreciate my boy. Brown sugar oat milk cortado. Brown sugar oat milk cortado. You know what, Chad? I'm gonna actually take a picture of that. I might try it and waiting for them to bring back the toffee iced shaken espresso. Yeah, I know he has balls of steel. Try the mushroom coffee, maybe for a replacement for... I tried that. It's funny, my dad got the I was visiting my parents, and he got that, fuck, what was it? What brand? Rise, I think. Mushroom coffee, and shit was disgusting. Tastes like dirt. It was disgusting. It doesn't taste like coffee. It tastes, I mean, it looks like coffee, but it doesn't taste like coffee. I don't know if that makes sense. Bro really said rhino pills plus coffee. Caffeine pills would destroy me. Yeah, fuck, same. Not popping caffeine pills. Bro said Blue Chew. Shit, Blue Chew advertisement for Project 365 would be crazy. Love the taste of coffee. Yeah, same here, brother. I love the taste of coffee. No sugar, no milk, 0 calories. Yeah, no, you. Blue Chew next. You need 4 cups of joy every day. Bro, literally, gold is holding, but I think it's a consolidation before the final dump. Yeah, I think with the gold's momentum, I do think we see prior day low. Or prior week low, I think. Cafe Buestelo and cinnamon is amazing. Is that from Starbucks or what? Honey pack in the coffee instead of sugar as a sweetener. Wow, you guys are funny. You'd be fucking wired first thing in the morning with everything you guys are recommended. Caffeine pills, rhino pills, fucking honey packs. Fuck, chat. Love coffee, but it started messing my sleep. Quick cold turkey, but only because I was forced to. Really miss it. Yeah, it's fucking, coffee's amazing. So long we hold this on NQ here, and ES takes out these this high essentially, which would tap into the hourly fair value gap. I'd zoom in on the 5-minute and wait for a 5-minute change in structure.
Delivery has to be on time, it has to be fast, and
Let's see. No, you make that in your own coffee machine. When you put the coffee, put a little bit of cinnamon. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Fire, yeah. I'll try that shit. I'll try it here. Viagra pills. Feels like some of Lucid chat over here with those comments. What the fuck is Lucid talking about, chat? Oh shit. Chat, how do we go talk about charts to fucking rhino pills and fucking Viagra pills? That's how you know we're a whole bunch of degenerates. Enough of those bad boys, you'll think you can take over the world. Take on the world. Yeah, I wouldn't know, chat. I drink a ton of water. You could slowly get off caffeine too, but just having one energy drink a day, then skip. Yeah, I see. Kind of using it as a reward mechanism, right, Joe? Rather than like something you rely on. Personally, I prefer cocaine from a strip. Fuck. Oh shit. I'd keep going back up. What indicator do you like to use? The main one I use is ICT kill zone and pivots. Walking around picked up on it. Fuck, man. I feel like your heart would be pumping as soon as you get into a trade with all these stimulants you guys are talking about. Up and strong. That chat is out of pocket. Fuck, bro, same here, brother. I'm genuinely trying to hold it in, but fuck it, you guys are funny. Fuck. I don't know. It feels weird laughing at a screen, but oh, you guys are funny. Yeah, we're waiting on price here, chat. We're waiting on price here to get into this bearish hourly order or hourly fair value gap, 4-hour order block, and yeah, just literally waiting on price here. That's why we're talking about Viagra and Rhino pills here. Is the gap filled when price hits the gap, or when the gap? So the gap is filled when the gap is fully closed, essentially. Why didn't you read that out loud, brother? I just stopped midway. I'm like, ah, shit, what am I reading? Real said he prefers cocaine from a stripper's butt to wake up. There you go. Yeah, okay. Change the topic. Do you put aside so much of profits for long-term investing? I have been. I genuinely wouldn't do any long-term investing until recently, if I'm honest, chat. And what kind of changed that for me was a talk I had with a handful of people. Jake was one of them back at the New York meetup. I was talking to him that I was considering buying a house out of state, right? And doing Section 8, but he was like, I forgot exactly what he told me, but what stuck with me was essentially long-term investing into stocks that I believe in and would have a much greater return than putting that same amount into a house. But who's there? I'm here to do both essentially eventually, but both real estate and long-term, but I don't have a specific, I guess, percentage or anything. It's just whenever I I guess feel like it, I'll put some money into the account. Okay, so again, based off of what we were talking about earlier, chat, which was the again, chat, looking at the daily on both assets here. ES is significantly weaker. The 4-hour here on NQ is bullish essentially, while the 4-hour on ES is slightly bearish. So if we hold the bearish order block on the 4-hour, the hourly fair value gap here, which we're about to tap, I'd be interested in trying a potential short on NQ. Now, this is, again, keep in mind, this is a lower probability trade if that does present itself, given where NQ is. NQ is literally at all-time highs, almost at all-time highs. So shorting that isn't really, I would say, high A++ type of setup. Taking that take with the idea that ES is going to continue downtrending at least to these relative equal lows here inside that new week opening gap. And I'm not even looking to hold all the way to that level. I'm looking to hold to, if we take this swing low to swing high that we just created, right, that we're going to create, discount of the range, which would sit around prior week highs. And so long that trade thesis is valid, so long we hold this gap here, which is let me see, around that 4-hour wick CE. Yeah, the reason why, it's that bearish gap inside premium of the range of this leg. So let's see. Let's see what we bring here. Be looking for a 5-minute change in state once that happens, or a market structure shift on the 5-minute. And if not, if that inverts, then yeah, just probably stay in cash for today's session. And I hope you guys understand why exactly. The divergence, again, is not something I like to trade much of. And we had that in the morning still, but I had high conviction in the morning on the draw being the all-time highs here on NQ. And the trade I took was somewhere around here into the highs, which if you guys want, I'll break down, but it's posted on my Instagram as well. Mr. Melly, what mastermind you part of? Mastermind 5. I've been trading for about, I'd say 6 years. Gold holding that Jake level at 4. Let's look at it. We have a Jake level. Yeah, it's holding. Which I mean, I wouldn't be longing this jet on gold, but it's holding. I do think we see 4, 4, 5, 5. Maybe not today, but soon. Chat, literally every order block on the hourly has been respected. Last up candle, boom. Right? Last up candle here, boom. Last up candle, boom. Now we have the last up candle here. So maybe price goes back to retest it just to trade lower. We'll see, chat. We shall see. Big divergence between both assets. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the markets have been pumping those who got in COVID, but at least here's a terrorist freak out setting up pretty early and usually always liquid. Yeah, fuck yeah. I'm honestly genuinely waiting for an opportunity with price, kind of how we had I keep forgetting, was it last year around April time, where I managed to catch a nice move, but I was genuinely, I think, undersized. But it was back in April time during we go on the monthly. It was during this dump here, and I made a video on Instagram, or not on Instagram, it's on my TikTok for sure, that I would post a lot on. But I managed to catch the bottom here, or somewhere around the bottom, and I played it. I genuinely forgot how I managed it, but I didn't catch it all the way into highs. I caught it somewhere in the mid premium of the range, essentially. So essentially the same way I trade, just with a higher time frame perspective. And so yeah, looking for a setup like this potentially to form again. And this was, I think, when Trump was being elected again. Am I wrong? Yeah, I managed to catch that trade with both options and equities on what's it called, on SPY. On the options, the plan was to hold for options, or sorry, hold for equities and trim on options, and try to hold for a winner on bigger winner on options. Then I was undersized in my opinion. I think I could have risked more during that time, and I was undersized, and I mismanaged, just given that from a points perspective I was up a lot. But my thesis going into the trade was like literally just get in and hold for the like manage it on the weekly, daily, monthly, which I didn't do. So yeah, until something like that happens again, which I guess we got it here, but I wanted a deeper retracement and we never got it. But shit, yeah, until we get another pullback like that, I'm not really dumping much into my long term, I guess. The ultimate recipe: 2 shots of Don Julio, one of Rhino and one of Red Bull. Man, you got that stats figured out, dude. Bro sounds like an expert. What's my Instagram? It's Lomeli Trades. So it's Lomeli Trades. I just put the link down below, brother. Yeah, brother, I traded options. Essentially my first what was it? I started with penny stocks, then I went into ETFs. And funny enough, like one of the first ETFs I traded were gold ETFs. And then I went over to options, and I stuck with options for years. It wasn't recently until I transitioned over to futures, which was essentially like 2 years ago almost. And yeah, futures are just way easier to trade in my opinion. Easier as far as like less stress, less to worry about. I still trade options, but not on a day-to-day basis. How many years did it take for you to become consistent with trading, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah, it took me about, I'd say, I always think about this question because it's never like a hard answer, right? It's never like, oh, I was consistent at 2 years and 5 months. It was, I would say, around the 3-year mark is where I started being consistent in my approach in how I did things. And it wasn't until like, I'd say year 4 that I started catching momentum. One thing I didn't understand is ES swept prior day low. Why was downside still your target? I got you. It's just given how price is delivering right now on ES. So let's put NQ aside. ES here has been delivering away from bearish fair value gaps, right? And we left relative equal lows. So whenever there's relative equal lows like this and price has been delivering bearish, and looking at how the daily is, if we look at the daily is looking very bearish, kind of like we're getting a potential higher low if we close how we're closing or how we're looking on the daily. So with those things in mind, I'm anticipating price to at least get some sort of reaction from that area of interest, right? And if we don't, then that's okay. But that's about the only setup that I see potentially forming, right? NQ, like I said, NQ has been bullish, right? We're damn near at all-time highs, which makes this setup a little bit lower probability. I'm not short biased, but I'm potentially looking for a short scalp is what I'm getting at. So I guess that would make me short biased. But yeah, nothing in my opinion today is presenting itself to be A+ quality, right? But just taking what we have right now, what we have currently for PM session is this, exactly what I just kind of walked you guys through. So although we did take prior day lows, based off if ES continues delivering how we're delivering, we should have some sort of reaction. And if we don't, then that's fine. We don't take anything. Or even if we do take it, we take a stop, and that's trading. Yeah, just waiting on that swing high to get taken and then dig deeper here. And of course, that line in the sand for myself would be that essentially this red line here, which is the middle of this 4-hour wick. If we trade above it, no longer interested in that trade idea. And if we hold that and we hold this 15-minute fair value gap at premium of the range, then still valid. And if we trade higher, then we don't do anything, or I don't do anything. I need to stop saying we. This would be discount of the range. Now, in the other hand, if this inverts on the hourly, right? Then that just changes the whole outlook, I guess, for currently where we are. So the way I trade is very reactionary based. Like I don't look to predict. I'm just looking to compile clues, and based off of those clues that I'm getting, I just execute, right? So right now the clues I'm getting is, like I keep telling you guys, we're getting divergence between both assets. As you see, NQ is literally almost at the highs, while ES isn't. And not even that, it's all the way up here, right? So ES is essentially a little bit weaker, or a lot weaker. And yeah, there's not really much we can do here with NQ either. The NQ is literally trading almost at all-time highs. So this trade idea is off the premise that ES will continue. Now, is it valid that it can potentially bounce here? Yes, given that we, like someone said on chat, we took out prior day high, prior day low, prior week high, or sorry, prior day high, prior week high, and we bounced at the new week opening gap, opening print essentially. So yeah, we're at a position where either or could happen. But based off of delivery on ES and how the daily has been looking, I am willing to attempt a short stab here on ES if we get some sort of entry model. And that's kind of what we're waiting for, chat. Kind of what we're waiting for here, chat. Bro, why your audio breaks so much? Get a better connection. Is my audio breaking, chat? I'm sorry, positive vibes. Sorry I hurt your feelings, Mr. Positive Vibes. It happens, at least now you know. Yeah, you and Rake say the same thing. I believe it's because of theta decay. Yeah, it's just more of a hassle. Like you could be right on a position and still lose money on it, right? I think if you are trading options, I think the best thing you can do is go far out enough to where theta isn't killing you. So if you're taking a trade today on say QQQ, right? On QQQ, and your target is these highs up here, and you're looking to hold this for the next, say, ideally you think you're gonna hold it for the next 30 minutes or an hour, right? I wouldn't get 0 DTE calls, right? Even if you do play for whatever reason 0 DTE calls, you should never be getting the 732 0 DTE calls, right? When you're taking a potential higher low like this with options, right? If you're not in the money, theta is gonna fuck you. You're gonna get time decay. Time decay is gonna make you lose money. So in this case, if you take a trade around this area, right? Your or how I would go about it is have an expiration date be almost in the money. So if you get in, say you get in here, the expiration I would go with is the 729, right? Or even 728, although you are paying a little bit more, but you're getting saved from just potential pullbacks, right? As soon as you go in the money, that's when the multiplier starts happening. People, I think where I see a lot of people go wrong is they try to go deep out the money, and price will do this while they get in the trade. Boom, boom, boom. And then they run out of time, and then price is here, but their options are still at break even. Their options are flat break even, and that's where they fuck up. What I would do though is maybe if you plan on day trading this, maybe play 3 days out, 5 days out, and play slightly out the money. So I would do this like the 730s or 732s, knowing that you have time. Even if it does get there, right? You still have the multiplying aspect of I believe it's gamma, right? And you don't get fucked by how the nature of options, essentially. We didn't tap it yet, so we're staying cash here. What's your favorite food cuisine? Shit. What I've been going a lot to, bro, chat, I've been horrible with my diet since I came back from Costa Rica. I've been literally eating steak. We've been going out to eat steak, burgers, fucking sushi, and what else? Tacos. But yeah, I guess my go-to are I enjoy going to like steakhouses and getting everything there. So I'll get my food, I'll get dessert there, I'll get fucking yeah, it's a whole like say 2 hour thing where we go, we sit down, we talk, and it's especially with like trading, just being in front of screens all day. I think that I've grown to really enjoy that. Enjoy just getting out the house, going to get dinner. And yeah, it's fucking, yeah, I would say my favorite food though is it's hard. I love like steak and steak houses, but I also love sushi. If it was up to me though, I'd eat pizza every single fucking day. Pizza is amazing for me, but I don't eat it just because of how much carb I'm eating. NQ equals frustrating. Yeah, nothing much with NQ here for me now, right now at least. It's literally waiting. Like stream, when stream first started, I mentioned I want to see these highs or these lows to get taken before I do anything, and we haven't done either. Were you a rake student before ICT? No, I got into ICT before rake. And with rake's way, I kind of I gravitated toward his he would always, he doesn't post much of this now, but at the time his hourly levels were like he would post about them pretty often, like they're the most accurate in the game. And I'm like, okay, seems like he's doing well. He has something I want, which is the level system. How can I learn it? How can I and he would always preach like simplicity is key. So I ended up buying Mastermind 5.0, and honestly it changed my trading forever. I didn't really understand how simple price could be if you just dumb it down into higher highs, higher lows, potential higher highs, potential higher lows. I stopped trying to catch high of day breakouts. I realized that potential higher lows in an uptrend and potential lower highs in a downtrend are the setups I should be looking for. And alongside everything, right? The psychology aspect of things, the level system, the what else? Yeah, everything about that system is good for both beginners and advanced people. But yeah, audio sounds crisp. Yeah, I don't think it should be bugging. Now everything fine. Yeah. Positive Vibes used to change his name to Negative Vibes. Fucking guy. No, I'll love Positive Vibes. Staying cash meaning not trading. Yeah, staying cash. By staying cash, I mean just not allocating capital to anything. So whenever I'm cash sidelines, I just mean that I'm waiting. I want to see price do more, right? Price do more, and before I take anything.
The best choice
So cash, you guys will always hear me mention cash as a position. Cash, I'm cash or I'm sidelines. And it's all the same thing. I'd eat pizza every day too if I could. Yeah, bro, fuck. Pizza's amazing. Every time I go on vacation, I use it as an excuse to go eat pizza. I kid you not, chat. We went to this one restaurant this last vacation I went on. Probably 5 times out of the whole little bit over 2 weeks I was there, and it was Italian food. It was pizza and pasta. I would order a big ass pizza for myself. My girl would order a chicken pasta that I would essentially low-key kind of want her to get that way I could eat her leftovers. Now imagine this pizza with 10 grams of protein per slice, brother. Bro, that marketing behind that a good product, a good tasting product, again with the good marketing, I think would do well. Or having I've made this pizza, or my girl's made this pizza here at home, where she makes the crust be ground chicken and then cheese on top. So something like that, maybe, like, really, if it's with the right marketing and right push, would do amazing. I have an opinion on pizza. I like it as a side to a meal, as like fancy garlic bread. I like a full meal nutritionally for me, but fair as a side. Yeah, honestly, I think that's the way it should be. Every time I eat pizza, I feel fucking, I don't know, lethargic. I wouldn't say nasty. I just feel, or maybe it's also a mental thing. Like, I ate fucking just bread and cheese. Like, 2 things that are essentially not, like, my body doesn't really need, right? Charge 10K per pie and sell 10 a month. Own meal. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it's all about calories in and calories out at the end of the day. Do you use TPT? No, I have yet to use TPT. I'm working on the accounts I have currently, but that's the goal in the near future. We got shy from that fair value gap on the hourly. It's a flower used in pizza NQ stalling. Yeah, I mean, we are rejecting the area that I wanted us to hold for a downside, but the thing is, ES has didn't take out the area I wanted it to take, so staying patient for now. Again, the bad thing about PM is that price tends to be a little slower. Sorry, excuse me. It tends to be a little slower, and we run out of time, so we have an hour until market closes, and by then ideally, honestly, 30 minutes before market opens, because after 12:30, I don't want to be in anything, because you could still be right on the trade thesis, but since market closes, I don't really like to hold into, or equities market closes, right, where the volume dies off, so I don't really want to be holding into following day. My guy, what up, AXP? What's up? What's up? How you doing? Are there more pairs you compare? No, I strictly only look at NQ and ES, and I strictly only trade NQ. Someone, yeah. So after stream, what I'll probably do is go get a coffee, do some work, and then go fucking get some food. Go to a restaurant later. I think the number one thing I'll do, shit, it's tough. But I would love a chef in the future. Just making you food every single day. But then again, it's like that aspect of going out and getting food that I kind of love too. So that's why I kind of stalled. Do you have another job? No. Cash sidelines for now, chat. We just tapped into that 15-minute fair value gap here, so we'll see the reaction we get. We'll see what the reaction is. I also like how the 4-hour kind of, or not like, but how the 4-hour closed kind of like indecision here on NQ kind of yields to the downside here on the ES bias that we have. Yeah, just waiting. The reaction off that 15-minute gap here, and we're also at a bearish gap here on NQ, so don't really want to be taking anything here, in my opinion. I think it's smarter to wait. I think most would benefit from not looking at the 1 minute. I barely look at the 1 minute. The only time I look at the 1 minute is, okay, say I was interested in taking a long here, which I'm not, but say I was. I'd pop up the 1 minute, and that's all I'd be looking for after everything confirms on the 4-hour, 1 hour, 15-minute, 5-minute. But I think for me, like, it took me a while to kind of understand that, but yeah, I just thought about it right now as I'm looking at the 1 minute. Literally having the 1 minute, maybe removing it from your favorites, right? And literally manually typing it in once you're like, okay, it's ready, it's go time. Let's see what the 1 minute presents. I don't know, some food for thought for you guys. That's what I want, a private chef. I think it's worth the money for home cooked organic food. Yeah, I've looked into some services, some food delivery services where they cook meals, whatever you want. They look at your macros, they deliver them for you. And I've tried them for a while, but they just, I don't know. They maybe I haven't found the right ones, but. What was your job before going all in on trading? I did a lot. I did a handful of jobs. I was going to school full time. So when I first got into trading, I was going to school full time. I was going to UC Merced, and I was working full-time jobs. Before that, I was doing construction. I was doing, I was working at stadiums. I was working at phone stores. I was working at, I was doing DoorDash. I was doing Uber Uber. I was doing, I did Uber Eats for a while as well. I did, what else? I did a handful of other jobs. I did warehouse jobs. I did, what's it called? Yeah, I did a lot. But during like my developing stages, I was living in like in San Jose. Like DoorDashing was pretty like new, and it was paying really well. So I would work say 4 or 5 hours and be making 200 to 300 a day, just working 4 or 5 hours a day. And that's because of bonuses that DoorDash was giving. So it allowed me, it literally allowed me to work my job, which at the time I was doing, I was working at PayPal Stadium in San Jose, which used to be Avaya. I would trade, go to work, and then DoorDash at night. So I was making just enough, I guess, solid money, decent money for the time I was working. And I had no real big responsibilities other than to pay rent. And yeah, it was, looking back, it was very stressful, but it developed me a lot as a person, as a trader, and I wouldn't change it. San Jose. Yeah, so I was born and raised in San Jose. I moved to, I've been living around that radius, 100-mile radius. I don't live in San Jose now, but I live within, I'd say, 100-mile radius down south. Not to trigger anything, but do you ever feel like the weight of needing to make money from trading to make a paycheck? Yes. Yes, 100%. I think that as you get better as a trader, that feeling kind of starts going away. And I think that I don't think that one should strictly rely on trading income for like as a living, right? Because that's where if you go through a streak of losing, that's where you could potentially fuck up, and that's where fuck up in the sense of like your mind goes away from the process, right? So yeah, I've had phases like that, but to this day, I mean, now that I genuinely don't need money from trading, right? Although it is what I do full time, I don't need money from trading. I have other things that maybe I'll talk about in the future that I do. But they're very they don't take much of my time is what I'm getting at. So I structured my life to where I consider myself a full-time trader. I trade full-time, but I don't need the money. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Don't need a chef to move to Thailand. Food available everywhere. Yeah, Thailand. I had a trip to Thailand booked, but I canceled it last minute because of the whole war thing that was going on. And I booked Costa Rica instead, right after. What's your biggest dream goal? That's a very deep question. As far as I genuinely think that my overall goal is just to be healthy. I want health. And I want to prioritize that and have that be number one. Health for me and my family. And then so long health is a priority for me, I think everything else that comes is a blessing, right? So I think that for me, the number one, I just want to structure my life to where as early as possible, I can consider myself retired. So I want to have as much income coming in to where I really don't have to work. And work then becomes kind of like a game, like fun. I do see myself trading I don't see myself quitting trading per se for the next, I don't know, things change, right? When family starts coming around and things change. But for now, I see myself trading for the rest of my life. Maybe more of a hands-off approach, but for now, I'm really locked in with trading. I do have goals, right? I have monetary goals. I want a nice house, right? I want a nice car. And for now, just leaning into the process, right? I'm locked in. I'm putting in the work every day. And I think that so long I do those things slowly but surely, things will come to me rather than me trying to force things upon how do I explain this? I think things come to you so long you put in the work and you have faith and you kind of rely on that, right? Your hard work and faith. But my biggest dream, I guess, would be I genuinely would say I made it once I can buy myself an SVJ. No, I didn't. I went to high school. No, I didn't go to high school in San Jose. I moved out of. I was in elementary when I moved out, or when my parents moved away. Melly, Rye Guy, the Fly Guy. What up? What up? All-time highs again, perhaps. Leaning more to the downside here. Like we keep mentioning, it was after that bearish gap. If it got tapped, it didn't get tapped. So as much as I want to short this after that invert 15-minute, I am remaining cash. Yeah, the read was on point, chat, but never really got an entry. Never got an entry because of ES. I wanted us to literally take out these highs, right? Passed my lucid and made 360 on the new funded. Fuck yeah, hell yeah. Slow and steady, brother. Slow and steady. Slow and steady. Don't rush it. Just come in every single day with the idea of just taking one trade, compounding that, and you'll zoom out at the end of the month and you're like, holy shit, I can take this much out. Everyone's good, Mike. How you doing, brother? Just join. Let's see what the final hour brings. Yeah, let's see what it brings. As I walked everyone through stream this morning, a couple hours ago, is I was waiting for the whole day, or the whole session here. It's been an hour and a half. Was waiting for that hourly fair value gap to get tapped into to then trade shorts. That didn't come, right? We inverted this 15-minute gap here, and it seems to be, we're hovering around prior day highs. And the reason why this draw was lower here on ES was because ES was delivering bearish on the 4-hour/1 hour. 4-hour/1 hour. But the divergence in here is what's keeping me away from it now. I wanted us to take out this high or / hourly bearish gap. But yeah, everything. I hope you guys see the reasoning as to why I'm waiting and why this area rejected how it did. It's just basically premium of the range, bearish 15-minute gap. Again, we have relative equal low sitting below us on ES, and we have relative equal high sitting above us on ES. My bias is still short until we take out these lows. So yeah, we're in this weird range where I have a read, right? The read is down, but I don't have a pocket. And for me to take something, I need both. I need both a read and a pocket. Are you leaning towards longs? Currently, I'm mixed because I can see us, I guess, sure, long, right? Quote unquote, going up to take out these highs. And then I'd be open to seeing shorts from that area. But I also see us dumping into these lows right here at 517 on NQ, or sorry, on ES. So right now I'm cash waiting on price, which kind of happened. Literally when stream started, I was like, I want to see us take out these highs or take out these lows for me to then make a decision as to where I want to trade to next. And my bias was, again, to the downside once we took out these highs, given the delivery on ES and how it's been. So let's see what price wants to do here. I took your short idea anyways. Once it rejected from that NQ 15-minute bearish FEG, took profit. Fuck yeah, hell yeah, that's fire. Yeah, it wasn't a bad take, but the only thing is that, again, the divergence. 2, we never took out the quote unquote area of interest. So that's what you're kind of trading against right now. I guess the thing that is in your favor, you said you took profits already, but the delivery on the 5-minute, we essentially got a change in state on the 5-minute, and we have been delivering bearish. So this is a bearish order block that we could potentially reject if we continue. We're inside a bullish gap here on the 15-minute. ES inverted that bullish gap. We are respecting prior day highs, prior week highs. So let's see. We're in the middle of a range. After we tag new week opening gap here at 8:45 a.m., kind of been in this range. I mean, looking at the hourly here, it's not really very wicky the last, literally since 8 a.m., 9 a.m. The last 4 hour candles has been the bodies have remained intact, which is no bueno for trading. Got this invert gap here that we retested twice on the hourly here on ES. Patience is 90% of the money making part is what I'm learning. Yeah, patience is literally as cliche as it sounds. Patience is what pays in the market. Yeah, I did too. Fuck yeah. I mean, shit. So long you guys took profit, that's what matters.
And it's not what you think. I've developed a proven.
I can feel my brain growing. Can you give an example of an A+ power hour trade? So by A+ trade, I think it doesn't really matter what session it's on, but I think it's, I'll walk through the trade setup that I took this morning, as I do believe it was an A+ setup that I took around here, and I took profits at Asia highs here. So I'll walk you guys through that trade exactly here shortly before stream ends. If we remain cash, then that's that. But we'll go over, basically, if we take a trade, we'll go over both takes. If not, then we'll at least go over the trade I took in the morning, which again is on my Instagram if you guys want to check it out. Latest real life posted. But basically, for example purposes, it's whenever everything lines up. Like right now, we're diverging hard on both ES and NQ, and on top of that, we have yet to take out an area of interest. So for me to do anything here would be C, D setup type of quality in my books. Can we make 5K before the close? Yeah, unless we literally don't displace now and take out these highs, it's looking like a cash session for me. I guess I'll walk you guys through while we wait. I have alerts. I'll walk you guys through the trade I took this morning, which was in my books A+. It wasn't the best risk to reward, but it was very again, going into the session here, 1 minute. So going into the session again, we had this is how the daily was looking. Was it 4 hour? Okay, we'll hop into 4 hour. The 4 hours was rejecting that bearish 4 hour gap, and at the time, NQ had inverted the hourly gap or the 4 hour gap here, right? So I was looking at price. Okay, I want to see a retracement, and not make long story short, once ES took out these swing lows, right? External range liquidity, and NQ held this bullish gap on the hourly. So now we have the 4 hour aligned, the hourly aligned. We retraced to discount. The 15-minute, I was looking to see how the 15-minute was going to close, right? The 15-minute was closing. how it's looking, right? The 5-minute had just inverted this gap. So I was like, once we invert, I'd be looking to take a trade. And I took the trade with the idea that if the 15-minute closes how it's looking, right, which we go back to the 15-minute, it's literally just looking like it's creating a potential higher low after holding a bullish gap, I was targeting Asia highs, right? So after the 5-minute getting confirmation and inverting it in the 1-minute, that's where I took my take. Go long, targeting Asia highs. So in this case, right, the 4-hour is aligned. We're delivering from a bullish gap, inverting a bearish gap. We created divergence at the lows with ES, right? ES took out these lows, taking out sell side. So ES would automatically have to rebalance back into the range. And given that NQ was already bullish, the divergence was still present in the morning chat, but pay attention to exactly why I took a long there. The reason why is because we took out external range liquidity, meaning we took out a swing low. And at that point, if we get a failure to go lower, we would get continuation in my trade setup, right? So we're delivering from a bullish gap here on the hourly, right here, right? Bullish order block here again. And after inverting the 4-hour bearish gap, 15-minute was aligning, right? Just creating a potential higher lows. And again, we had divergence, holding bullish, bodies were holding bullish fair value gaps, bullish order blocks. And yeah, the 5-minute waited for that invert to get inverted and targeting the highs, right? Not the most sexiest of trades, right? 1.5 R, whatever, but worked immediately, right? I was never in drawdown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-minute trade and called it, right? Again, I posted this on my Instagram if you guys want to go check it out. But it was literally done 15 minutes into market open. And I was looking at another potential take, which I posted on my story. If you guys go back and check my story, at a potential take long here in this area. And if you guys go to my story, you guys see why, into all-time highs, which was around here, whatever, for like a 2R, but I skipped this one. But yeah, solid AM session. AM session was pretty solid, pretty displacive, pretty in my opinion, easy read. It just required patience. Patience. But I think that is what I qualify as an A+ setup. When everything's aligning, even on days like today where we have divergence, things were aligning, right? My indicator that gives bias on 3 time frames gives 3 times bullish on NQ and 3 times bearish on ES. Yeah, that's because of where we are. So if you're able to understand context, and again, chat, I'm probably one of the lower frequency traders here on the project, but for me, I'm looking to the mindset that I have is like, if I currently am trading, say, for my AM session specifically, if I have, say, 1 trade a day, I'm not looking to trade 2, 3, 4. I'm not saying other hosts are doing this, but that's just, I'm not going to compromise trading for basically, let me rewind. I'm going to try to scale the trades that I'm already taking, right? The time that I'm already showing up to try to make more that way, rather than trying to take more trades, rather than try to stay in my screens for longer to look for more trades to, scale horizontally. No, I want to scale vertically, taking the same trades I'm taking, but with idea that it's just a matter of adding another contract, adding another account, adding just more size in general, right? And while not adding more time on charts in for my AM session. So my AM session is strictly 6:30 to 8:30, where most of my trades come around 6:45 to like 7:45, right? That trade window. So yeah. Do you post your morning trade ideas before taking them on Instagram? I do not, no. Not yet, at least. It does not bother you that we were watching. Does it not bother you that we're watching what you do? Not really. I'm getting better at it. One thing that I would say is that it is a learning curve. So, not compromising for stream, right? And just literally reading price with you guys. And if something presents itself, then we take it. If not, then literally not compromising for stream. Meaning that if I wouldn't take anything, I'm not taking anything just because of stream. So I'm still learning that aspect of streaming, right? Which is being okay with staying put and not doing a single thing. And yeah, it's part of the learning curve, I guess. Do you have your own live stream? No. Only time I stream is currently just here with the squad. You explain it very well. Thanks. Thanks for that. Of course. Got you, brother. I got you, my guy. We do have a account giveaway here that will run here shortly. So for those of you guys currently still on here, stay tuned for that. Long bias played out short term. Yeah, exactly, brother. Exactly. Exactly, chat. My guy, right guy. What up, what up? Appreciate you. So far, going into about an hour, what is that, hour 50 of stream. So make sure you guys drop a like button here. Drop a like button. Drop a like on the like button. And we'll run the giveaway here soon. Why not, my dude? Man, you know what? I'll start a stream, then I'll invite you. Why haven't I streamed? Yeah, because the focus is for the project. What kind of coffee is that? It's a latte with banana and maple syrup, organic maple syrup. Do you utilize the orb? No. I do not. Although I have back tested it before, and yeah, I just didn't find my groove with it. Chad, I've back tested a shit ton of strategies. Whatever strategy you are trading, I think I've probably back tested before. I already show you guys my documents that I have with like the amount of work that I've done with like back testing, and you guys would be, what the fuck? I've literally back tested every single fucking strategy out there. I've looked at moon phases and no, I'm just kidding. How do you backtest? So I use TradeZella. I would use this platform called FX Replay. I would use just TradingView in general, like TradingView sometimes. But whenever it comes to like actually backtesting certain variables, I would for sure use TradeZella. TradeZella. Bro's like an AI robot. What's the lesson you learned after trying them all out? Is that I thought I had edge, but after backtesting, I realized that I didn't. And I think that if you can't make money backtesting, what makes you think you're gonna make money in the live markets? I think that's the biggest thing I learned. So something would make money for 3 weeks backtesting, right? And then it wouldn't make money for the next 3 months. So who am I to think that I'm gonna go into the live markets where emotions are involved and make money, right? So that's the biggest thing I learned, is like finding a repeatable system that you can actually keep the same variables and implement it live. So that's what I learned from backtesting everything. Everything is that everything works, but not everything works, right? So everything works so long you backtest it with your own variables and you can have positive expectancy. Now, if you can't, then you have to get back to the drawing board. You can't just, I mean, it's a two-way thing, I think. Profitable trading, I think you need a mixture of both backtesting and literally sitting in front of your screens and looking at something play out, right? It's not the same. Like, we're literally here looking at every second go by, every tick kind of count. Whereas if we were backtesting, right, we'd be fucking here tapping the button. Like, oh, that's a potential short. No. Potential long. Oh, okay, no, good. I wouldn't have taken that, no. But then in the midst of it, you have 15, 20 minutes of emotions. Like, is this looking good? Is this not? And that's what you cannot replicate in backtesting. You cannot, I don't care who you are, you will never get that experience backtesting. You have to actually sit in front of your screens, consider putting on risk and actually doing it. But I think I think everyone needs a mixture of both. Oh, bro's an AI robot with all the backtesting. Bro, you've been at it, bro. You've been crushing it too. Been crushing it, my guy. Yeah, so chat, that Alex D, he's my cousin. He's been getting into trading and he's been spending hours and hours and hours backtesting, and it's nice to see him kind of building his own conviction, building his own thesis as to what certain trades are. And fuck yeah, G, you're crushing it. Even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I could take a trade here long, for example, and because it tapped the EMA, I'm like, okay, now I'm trading EMAs because it's working. Where people don't realize that you need context. Market conditions are going to change. So when they change, are you ready to have that variable maybe not work, or maybe you approach it in different ways? And I think that literally, if you understand 2 things, understand that markets are always doing one of 2 things: ranging or trending. Now, if you have an approach for both directions, which most direction or most trading days are going to be like this. If you have an approach to trading these this way and this way, and you understand going into the day what day that could be, this I think is real. This is where trading gets fun, right? It doesn't matter what you trade. Like if you trade if this is a support level of supply and demand, right? Or if it's a fair value gap, or if it's a order flow tells you to get in somewhere around that area, no matter what it is, both of these, from my perspective, from price action perspective, understanding how both of these days could potentially set up and trading them accordingly is where certain things kind of excel, like EMAs, like Fibonacci, like whatever you trade, right? First time here, what indicator do you use? I don't use many indicators at all, if anything. The main one I use is ICT kill zone and pivots. Now, these are the settings if you guys want to go back and screenshot, which I've talked about time and time again. But yeah, I don't use many indicators. That alone is literally just drawing up my charts for stuff that I would already draw out. Oh yeah, appreciate it, bro. Shout out to the best mentor, my guy. Fuck yeah, you're crushing it, bro. Can't wait to see where you are in like 2, 3, 4 months. You have an Instagram? Yes, I do. It's Lomeli Trades. I got you. I linked it down below. Let's see if the link comes out. There you go. Yeah, just are you followed? Fuck yeah, appreciate you, my guy. I know you don't trade gold, but have you looked at it today? Yeah, we popped it up here occasionally on stream, and it seemed to be like it was dumping, right? Let's see. Yeah, it's been creating lower lows and lower highs, and we are currently going up to retest that order block. I was talking about it earlier, that every up candle before the down move has been respected, right? And it's looking like we're doing something similar now. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we take out prior week low at 4455. Wouldn't be surprised. Maybe like taking out these highs here before we go lower. Remove everything. Something like that would be nice. But yeah, chat, not really much from fucking NQ. Like I said before stream, I was waiting for either extreme to get taken. We've been in the range since stream started. We've been in this potential lower high range on the 15-minute that we have yet to break out of. So I was attempting a range breakdown. Once we took out those highs, we didn't take them. We traded back into the range. So yeah, literally just waiting. We have about 30 minutes until market closes. Probably more than anything going to stay cash unless we literally take it out now. But if we remain how we are within the next 4 minutes, we'll do the giveaway here. Follow, bro. I like the way you break things down. Hell yeah, bro. Appreciate you for the follow. I think I already said that, but fuck it. It's gonna be solid, bro. We've been at it for a minute. Definitely learning from the best. My guy. Fuck yeah. Yeah, and it's you who's putting in the work, my guy. So that's what yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where you are. W Mans, I'm getting off this shit. 700 on the day. Have a good one. Hell yeah. Crushed it, my guy. Yeah, Cameron, nice being on you. Nice having you here. Good insight. Thanks, G. Yeah, my guy. Okay, chat. I think what we'll do is we'll run the giveaway. We'll run the giveaway here. How's that sound? Run the giveaway and probably end stream here at the 2-hour mark. And go from there. Let's see. Sound good, chat? Let's see. Blew up 150k TBT today's. Fuck. You'll be back, brother. Just reset. You'll be straight. Sounds good. Right guy, have you won a giveaway or no? Yeah, you've been here. You've been on these streams since day one, brother. It's part of the game. Actually, let me see. Stream Labs. Let's see. Let me see if I log in through 1 second, chat. I'm gonna try to log in here through stream. Log in. I've never done the giveaway here with Streamlabs, so let's see if we can set that up here. So bear with me real quick. Whoa, shit. 1 second, chat. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if we could do the giveaway here manually. Huh. Let's see. 1 second, chat. Bear with me. We're running a giveaway here, but we're trying to learn how to do this the manual way. Let's see, dashboard. Let's see, a good old ChatGPT will do, chat. 1 second, bear with me. All right, bear with me, chat. Give me 1 minute. Let me figure this out on my end. Doing some good old ChatGPT, chat. Left corner. Okay, so go to CloudBot on the left sidebar. Okay, CloudBot. Turn CloudBot on. Mod the bot on YouTube. Go to YouTube. It's at CloudBot. Use giveaways. Okay, chat. So where's giveaways? Okay, giveaways. Choose custom giveaway. One second, chat. Let's see. Giveaways. Zoom and choose. Start giveaway. Okay, chat. So it's looking like let me see, 1 second. Okay, chat. Back over here. So you guys will hit exclamation point enter. There we go. Yeah. So it's looking like some of you guys entered already. So yeah, I'll leave it open here for the next coming minutes. But if you hit exclamation point enter, it'll enter you guys into a giveaway. And then I'll close it here in the next couple minutes. Yeah, so hit exclamation point enter. And I'll close it out here in the next coming minutes, chat. Jeez, finally I learned how to do this. You don't have to enter multiple times, so one entry is fine. Give you guys another minute or so if you haven't entered already. All right, give you guys another like 30 seconds or so. I'm about to close this here shortly. Let's see if I don't fuck this up. All right, 10 more seconds and I'll close this out. I see people slowly getting their tickets in. Yeah, giving this another 10 seconds. Yeah, it seems like people are still popping in for the giveaway because I still see 2-3 new tickets every. Yeah, keep dropping them, chat. I'll close it out here in a minute. All right, chat. I'm gonna close this here. Damn, you guys are still entering. There are 70 entries here, probably like 30 seconds ago. Now there's 92. It seems like people are popping in or just entering here now. Adrian, what up, my guy? What's up? What's up? I used to pray for times like this. I like that. Chat, someone reported my fucking Instagram account. It says provide your account details by June 6th to avoid suspension. Have to get that situated. All right, chat. I'm gonna close this here now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close entries and then pick a winner. Chat, winner is Snoozy M. Snoozy M, I believe, right? Yeah, Snoozy M has won a 50K eval. So just Snoozy M, are you on chat? DM me on Instagram with a maybe like a screenshot or picture of your tag name here on YouTube, and I got you with a traded 550K growth account. You snoozing? Snoozy, you on here, chat? You on here, chat? You on here, Snoozy? Nice try, the scalper. Congrats. Snoozy, you on your chat? Let's go. Fuck yeah, Snoozy. Labs. Oh yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I missed your name. My bad. Let's go. Fuck yeah. Congrats, my guy. Yeah, just DM me on Instagram. I posted the link up above, and I got you with an account here after stream. Congrats, my guy. Fuck yeah. First time using Streamlabs here for the giveaway winner, and it's fairly easy. Pretty easy, chat. Yeah, that's about it for me now, chat. Not looking to take anything really. Let's see. Yeah, again, follow me on Instagram as I do post a lot of skits, a lot of game. I try to keep you guys updated on stories. And congrats. Break-even day for me, went break-even quick considering I had a relative late entry this morning. What about you? Any trades? Didn't check out your Instagram. Yeah, I took a trade in the morning, for a little bit over 1 hour, banked on that. PM, nothing on PM, so banger day for me. Have a good next coffee. Yeah, I'm about to literally shower right now and then hit up a coffee shop here. Code RATE or RT on every single prop firm. Or hop off. Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, nice win. Nice win for the day. And Off to a good start. Off to a very good start. Gracias, bro. Nice day. Fuck yeah. Thank you. My boy Jay. Fuck yeah. Fire, fire. Fuck, I was going to ask something on chat today. I forgot. Let's see if I think about it. Yeah, that's it for me, chat. If you guys are here for the trading content, that's about it. If you want to hear me yap for the next couple of minutes, well, be my guest. Fuck, I'm trying to think before I head out. I had a question for chat. Fuck. I forgot. Forgot. Let's move chat to the right. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me, chat. I'm basically done. Tune in for Wrong going live here in a couple of hours. And yeah, and then you got Azing after, and then the cycle repeats. Jake, Mitch, myself, and then so on and so forth, chat. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one, chat. Thank you guys for popping in, and congrats on the account, my boy Snoozy. Yeah, have a good day. See y'all later.